So I think Therese can come up in here now. Hi! We did it.
How do you get like text on the screen? There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to do a background. I don't have a background ready, but I'll do it. I'll do it, and then I'll green screen. How do you get just the top though?
That's the sticker. So it's like called green screen sticker. And then I just I like make a whole thing in Canva and then I crop it to sticker size. And it's like very DIY.
But yeah, it's they're frowning against. They don't want you to put the names of the other apps on the screen. But all of my usernames on all of the things are the same. It's all Therese H. Lee, the handle. So just FYI, it's all the same. Both on the money apps and the YT app. That's my username on everything.
With the H.
With an H, yes, with the H. So how are you? How is everything going?
All right. Not great as it could be, but all right. How about you?
Good. I've got a lot of getting like the back end of my website built, so that's all happening. It's costing me a fortune, but she's doing an amazing job, and I paid for most of these services before I left my corporate job, so it's like I kind of have already paid for those services. So I'm just like, let's do it.
I love that you hired a woman to do it.
She's great. Her name is Tony. Her account on here is Tony Travels. She does content about living abroad, but she's also a marketer, a digital marketing specialist. She's a coder, like website builder. She has a lot of skills, and she's really, really great. And she understands how to like prep for a product, how to roll it out, how to like come up with like a plan, all that stuff. So it's very thanks Doc81 for sharing the live. I know you're in your kitchen cooking somewhere. Your ungrateful 5 kids.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so when I got back from hanging out with Mel in Rhode Island.
So fun. I love that y'all were able to do that.
And like New England is lovely. It is living up here in New England. It is, I thought of it as kind of like sleepy and boring. It kind of is. But now I'm sort of liking that. I'm like the whole kind of tucked away from the world, especially now. I mean, I used to live in places where never have an ice raids now. So I'm kind of grateful for being away from those places and spaces. But when I got back, what prompted this live, I was like, when I saw a video of a creator, I don't think I'm going to name the creator because I don't think that is useful. But there was a creator who was criticizing MJ, like I'll name the creator who's criticizing MJ for her feminism not being intersectional. That was the crux of the criticism. And she was like reading passages from a book about intersectionality and just saying, do better, whatever. And so I looked at I follow MJ. I looked at the last 2 or 3 months of her content, and I said to myself, is there anything that's weird? Is she doing any problematic crap? What's going on? And I just saw her usual stuff. And I've heard her talk about intersectionality. I've heard her talk, but her content is more focused on, like I call her a hot girl feminist. That's not like insulting. That's just, she's like, if you're 20 to 35 and you're a hot white woman and you're living in LA or New York, this is how you navigate these dudes. This is how you build your business. This is how you move through the world when you're a specific type of woman. I'm not that type of woman, but for those type of women, that's fine. And I have yet to hear her say anything that is like damaging to the movement, damaging to those women. And this creator was accusing her of putting women in danger. And I'm like, she's doing the opposite. She even said in videos like, understand that when you have high standards, you're going to spend a lot of Saturday nights alone. And you got to accept that, because you got to accept that most people aren't going to be able to live up to your standards. And just, it's going to be a lonely life, but you got to just deal with it. So I didn't see any issue. But then when I looked closely into the criticizer's content, I noticed when she had a similar look to MJ. Similar. I'm thinking I'm going to find like she's an activist for unhoused people, or she's like a vegan eco activist or something. No, she works at a club,
Right.
and she did a video that was almost exactly like one of MJ's videos, wearing one of those, what do you call those, like tight dresses from the early
Bandage dresses.
bandage dress. She was wearing like the same dress in like a get ready with me sort of thing. And I'm like, girl, what's happening?
Right.
And she
Like,
had like a fraction of the followers MJ had. So to me, it was looking like she was trying to piggyback on MJ's success to get her own engagement up. If it seemed very shady. I'm not saying that's what she was doing, but it seemed shady. And I'm noticing more of that. And not just that kind of criticism, but women being doxxed, women being like harassed, all because they're a different type of feminist or a different type. And the women that are being criticized, I'm noticing, are not like the super dangerous ones. Like, of all the people we could be, I haven't seen I'm just a girl get doxxed.
right.
I haven't seen, which again would be wrong to dox her, but like, it seems we're directing our vitriol kind of at our own, which is disturbing to me. I don't know, like, what do you think?
My biggest like surprise and shock with all of this is that first of all, it has started recently. Like I've been making this content for a while. And I have never run into this type of like a dead end with women. Because the thing that concerns me the most is that this is all women. Like the criticizers, the like trying to take people down is all women. I'm never surprised when men do this. I'm never offended when men do this. Like I get it. I get it. But what I don't understand is women trying to tear other women down for like for not saying something or like not doing something. And it's like, how do y'all not realize that we are all a rich tapestry that comes together into a movement, right? Like people, and I'm like, is this like a playing out of individualism where like perfection becomes like so important because you're thinking of everything individualistically and you're thinking that every human being, if they be allowed to speak, they should be able to speak on anything and everything. And sometimes it's like not your place, right? Like me, I got flamed for like not speaking out about things on Love Island that were happening between three women of color. And there was like, we know that Love Island gets edited. We know that like, you know, we're not seeing everything. There's three phases to Love Island, right? There's the show, there's the post villa stuff, and then there's the reunion. Like there's plenty of time to speak on things. But for me as a white woman, um, before I had any, like proof of like racist intentions or proof of like ignorance, right? I wasn't going to step in and litigate a situation between three women of color. And then I got flamed for that. And I'm like, but I didn't say something, and I didn't say something for a week. Like, where has our patience gone? Where has our, like, you know what I mean? What if I was just on vacation? What if I was just like taking some time off? Like, this kind of stuff is getting really crazy. Or people being like, you're married, so therefore you can't make this type of content.
That's the criticism about you that pisses me off the most. Because you, Mel, Burb, I'm not married, but I do have a male partner. He's back in Chicago. But like the idea that because I get this criticism from like Black men for dating a white man. And I always think, like, do they think there's some kind of privilege that is conferred by having like a D in proximity?
No, seriously.
Privilege doesn't transfer. Like with the white dude, I'm still Black, and with a male partner, I'm still a woman. I still have to deal with the stuff. The difference is, I think that the reason why y'all have more healthy partnerships is not in spite of the way that you think. It is because of the way that you think that you are able to maintain these healthy partnerships. But I also, you're also not out here promoting that people stay single or people get married or you're just saying that here's what's going on. Here's the landscape. And you literally end every video with stay safe. Like
Right.
that's stay safe because these people are crazy. And I don't. I personally don't recommend that people get married if you're not already married. I wouldn't advise it, but that's not my business. And I'm not gonna think less of a feminist because she is married. If you look at the history of the movement, more than half of the feminists we know, the big names we know, were married. It's just that because a single attractive, slender white woman was the face of feminism in the second wave for a long time, people forgot about, Shirley Chisholm, Bella Abzug, the woman who wrote Betty Friedan. They were all married. Like the woman who literally wrote the book on, the miserable existence of a housewife, weaponized in common. She was married. That's because she had that perspective because she was a very intelligent, educated woman who left her career, quit her job, whatever, had kids, and was bored as and so the majority of feminists historically have been married. That is
Right.
people don't understand. Most of them have had kids too.
Hmm.
And one of our leading reproductive rights activists on this app and every other app, she's married and she is a mother as well. So it's like we're not this whole thing critiquing the institution and critiquing the way that we are expected to mother is very different from saying don't mother or don't marry. Those are
Right.
very different. Yeah, the privilege is not transferable. It's not, you don't get like a card like, oh yeah, oh look, there's a white D in your bed. Here's your privilege card. Like, no, it doesn't. I wish, but it doesn't work like that. It really does not. It really doesn't. You still do the same things. In fact, when you are aware and you have deconstructed, you actually have to do more work because when these things come up in your relationship, you can't just. It's very tempting to just sort of settle in to the stuff that everybody expects of you when you're married, but it's very hard to like push back on every little thing, but you have to because this is the only time I would ever say it's a slippery slope because it is a slippery slope. This is the situation where it actually is a slippery slope. And you can very easily slide into complacency and slide into those habits because it's not just the institution of marriage and the laws that accompany it. It is the entire cultural framework and the expectations of your friends, family, and neighbors that accompanies this institution that are very as strong or not stronger than the laws that bind you. There's a set of expectations that is very, very hard to push back on. And if you are married, you have to push back on them every single day. And from the outside and from the inside. And if you're willing to do that work to make it work, great. I'm tired. I'm approaching 50. I'm too tired. I don't want to do that anymore.
And I just want to say too that like the biggest reason why I don't recommend that women get married is because I actually haven't had to do that stuff. Like in fact, and I don't mean to like, this is not me bragging, this is not anything, but in fact, I wouldn't still be married if I had to teach my husband the basics of like how to view me as a human being. Like I know some women have done that and it's worked out and good for them, but that would give me the ick. Like I literally wouldn't be here. And like, yes, are there things that he has realized about himself and held himself to an even higher standard throughout our marriage? Yes. But it wasn't like I was trying to teach him to like pick up after himself or trying to teach him to like view me as a human being or not to coerce me into things. Like that just was never part of it. It was never part of it that I had to teach him about feminism, right? Like it was, I often say that he was kind of the one holding me by the collar while we were in the church and keeping me from slipping into the pick me ways that my neurodivergent brain wanted to slip into because I view things as binary oftentimes. And I was like, well, but like, are you going to be a leader? You know, like, are you going to, or are you just like a man that doesn't take accountability, whatever? And he was like, why would I be the leader? We're both people in the relationship. Like, I'm not going to have the final word. I'm not going to make decisions for you. He would argue about this with anybody who listened, like pastors, anybody at our church. And we mentally checked out from the church, like, a year or two into our marriage because of that, because people kept trying to push us to have kids or like, you know, whatever, but we were always on the same page. I never had to be like, listen, like, this is hurtful to me as a woman, or like whatever. Like I've never had to do that. And it's the bigger part of why I don't encourage women to even look for it, because most women who have good relationships had to work for them. And I don't even want that for women. Like, you are better off. I don't want to sit there and teach a man how to view me as a human being. And I've never done that. Like, not to my dad, not to my husband. They just always did, to this day.
And the energy you can be using for other things is not worth the trade-off, in my opinion.
Yes.
Men aren't that great. So
No.
in general, so on average in general, so doing all that labor to maintain a relationship that you're even when things are as equal as they're going to get, you're not getting much out of anyway.
Hmm.
The juice isn't worth the squeeze. Let's say that, definitely.
Right. Yeah, and I just think, like, in our relationship, like, my husband actually says, like, I'm trying to flip the patriarchy. Like, I want, like, he's the one that has the boring job with the health benefits and the 401k and stuff like that, so that I can do the crazy shit that I want to do. Like, I have my career path has been like this. I just, I jump from one thing to the next. Like, nobody knows what's going to happen. Like, and he's just like holding down the fort. When I get busy with stuff, like, he starts cooking and clean, not starts, but like, he's the one that does all the cooking and cleaning, right? Like, I'm more likely to order food out than I am to cook, whereas he'll be like, no, let me like run to Costco, let me make the salmon, like all that stuff.
That's awesome. I recently started learning to cook because I'm afraid of, like, when the economy really collapses, I have to learn how to take care of myself. So I learned how to bake like 3 different things, and I know how to do like 2 different kinds of like soup stew things, and then I'm going to work on like 2 other things, and so will have like 6 things I know how to make, so I can feed myself on a basic level. It is not that difficult. It just takes practice,
Hmm.
and it takes just the understanding of, like, really the chemistry of cooking. That's the part you have to get. So you can develop the skills where you look at your pantry and you have like 5 ingredients and you can make something out of whatever you have. Like, that's the level I'm trying to get to. But yeah, like, I don't think the obligation to cook, I've never had that, and I would be
Hmm.
resentful if I had the obligation to cook for another adult.
Right.
I didn't do that
Right.
when I was married. Like, you fed yourself for 35 years. What are we doing here?
Hmm.
Let's figure it out. You did your own laundry for 35 years, and that was never expected. And whatever issues I had in my marriage, that part was never an issue. I did have a bit of weaponizing, a lot of weaponizing confidence when it came to cleaning, but
Yeah.
stuff that was never a problem. But I think that we really, on these apps, we need to start developing some kind of framework for how we move in these apps. And I have one for deciding when to post content. I always ask myself, 2 questions. The first question is, am I adding to the conversation? Because if I'm covering ground that everybody else has covered, there's no point to it. And then number 2, is what I'm about to say going to hurt anyone? And then then if those questions come out okay, then I post. But I think for the calling out or calling in or accountability, whatever thing, I think I developed a new set of questions. Like, the first one is, what kind of creator is this person I'm thinking of criticizing? Where do they fit into this space? That's the first thing to decide. Number 2, do they have a history of this kind of BS behavior, or is this a one-off? And that takes time, meaning you can't
Hmm.
on every pile-on accountability trend immediately, because you have to go look at their content, see what kind of person they are. Now, if they have a well-documented history of this kind of BS, light them up, like, whatever. But not everybody fits that criteria, and I just think we need to be a little more circumspect when it comes to who we're gonna light up when when we feel like someone needs to be called out. Trends, absolutely, calling out trends is fine, because calling out a trend is not directed at a particular creator. There'll be like hundreds of folks doing that trend, but yeah, we need to be a lot more selective on where we direct our ire and where we send our minions to like, because that's the worst part. Like when a creator attacks you who has like a very loyal and larger community, their minions coming over and harassing you, and like that's the worst part for me on the occasion that's happened to me. And you got to like block people, left and right. Thankfully, I haven't had to deal with too much of that. But the rare occasion I did, the minions are the worst. Worst.
Yes. It's just been disturbing that it's been women. Like to me, that is like the biggest part of it and the most disturbing part of it. And they're the ones wielding the accountability stick against other women. And it is like has become such a gotcha environment and such a like um there's also this aspect of like holier than thou kind of like we're just getting very puritanical, like we're getting away from inclusivity and we're marching, right? Like hear me when I say marching towards exclusivity in this movement, right? Like we are basically, my question is, okay, let's start pointing fingers at a bunch of women. Okay, objectively, what is that going to do to the movement? Right? If you say, oh, you're married, leave. Oh, you have a partner, leave, get out. Oh, you make this kind of content, but not this kind of content, get out. What are you doing? Like, how big is the next march going to be? How, do you know what I mean? You're really just abandoning your own allies. And we just have to draw the line between like, where are the allies, like who's like a real ally, and then whom by their actions, right, is not an ally. So it's one thing to say that like, oh, a married woman can still open her eyes. Guys, like newsflash, they taught me how to read. They taught me how to think critically in school, right? I went to school. I have I've had jobs. I have an employment history. I know what it is to reason. I know what it is to open my eyes, look around, look at the statistics, look at the real world examples. I can look around and I can tell women, I can extrapolate that and say, hey guys, like based on what I'm seeing out here, this is what I see, this is what I recommend, this is how I interpret it, right? I'm married, but I wouldn't advise it. I got married, right, many years ago. I started dating many years ago, 15 years ago. We didn't have nothing but dial-up internet. Like it's a different world we're living in. Like when I found my husband, I could, pretty safely say that like it was a smaller percentage of men that was addicted to pornography the way that they are right now. Like there's so many reasons why I tell women not to get married, and people are like, oh, you're just gatekeeping all the men. What the fuck? You're trying to gatekeep the men. You're trying to keep women single. No, trust me. If the good men were out there, y'all wouldn't be single. Like, I wouldn't need to make this content. There's nothing I can do to keep y'all single. It's the men keeping you single. Like, because you're thinking critically, and that's good. But it's so exhausting, and it's being like, oh, but because you don't live this way, or like, because you make content for models, right? Or because you have a niche, and you're not doing this or you're not saying this. And it's like, I'm like, what?
Supposed to do? Isn't she an actual model?
Right.
I think she is, or she used to be at least. Like, what other kind of and just the whole thing of like, oh, you can't make fashion content and talk about feminism. Isn't that the thing that we were saying about women? Oh, if you're too pretty, you're dumb. Like
Yeah.
that. They don't realize that? Like, what are we doing? Like, what are you really saying? You're saying that these two ideas can't coexist in the same brain. Like it's just so it is so classic sexist language.
We're coming full circle.
And I think that there are these kind of self-imposed like purity tests that we're imposing on other people. And
Women, other women.
other women specifically, yes, other women. And like it is not serving us well. Like I said, if you want to read someone, there's so many pick-me's on this app you could go read.
Right.
Like, go read one of them. There's like a ton of them. Like, I think most of them have me blocked. But like for those of you who haven't had you blocked, like direct that energy over there because it is not helping us over here. But it also like feeds into it gives men more ammunition to attack us because they're even women are saying this, even like they latch on anytime a woman says anything remotely similar to something that they say as proof that we are wrong and that our movement is somehow flawed or undermining the family or I'm not good. I want to undermine the family. I absolutely do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I also want to undermine like a lot of other things, but it doesn't like just the like purity aspect of it. The like, you must be perfect. Women must be perfect to be believed, right? So like, we don't believe you because you're married. Like, oh, okay. Like, got it. Like, that is so weird. Like, we're so far. We've gotten so far from the actual goal of anything. And like, my theory is that like it's kind of twofold. Like, one is that people's lives are spinning out of control, and this is one of the only things that they can control. And it's very easy, to get online behind a faceless little account with no reposts, no public comments, no public commentary, nothing. Just hop on there and be like, oh, you know, what about you? What are you doing? Like, how is this? Like, whatever. So that's one aspect of it. And then somebody has brought up in my comments that like Gen Z kind of grew up being or feeling monitored like their whole life. And they feel like it's just the surveillance being transferred onto other people. The surveillance that they feel, they're kind of like applying it everywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, the 25 plus thing is just for guests on the panel. Y'all hate Dex. I think that was a default thing that I had up there because on the occasions I go live on my own account, I usually talk to men and Christians. And you're lucky if you get one over 25 that can think worth a damn. So we definitely don't talk to people under 25. So I think that's like just the default setting I have for my account.
Gotta form that frontal lobe.
I have to bump that to 30, actually, I think, because this is crazy. But yeah, we really do need to exercise a lot more discernment. But I think that the drive to either make money or maybe like the dopamine hit from getting recognized and going viral, we're willing to cannibalize our movement and to sacrifice other women just to get what you got one viral video, you got X however many new followers, you're willing to everything from just insult, damage, have us waste 72 hours on this topic, or outright get a woman hurt over that.
Right.
I'm not going to say her name, but like, we love right? That is really what but I think in terms of that person, they're just a contrarian because there is a little niche on social media for people that are like, both sides hate me and I'm a maverick. And anyone who opens their videos regularly with, this is going to trigger you, but I don't care, I immediately swipe. Oh, yeah. You're not a serious person. Like, you're not a serious person. Like, why are you worried about triggering people? You should be worried. You should be thinking about what you're trying to communicate and standing on business. Like, don't worry about
right. Yeah, you don't need to be an edgelord about it. You just need to say what you say. And yeah, all the gimmicky stuff. Like, I'm also like, listen, I don't know. Some of us just get on this app and start yapping. Like, I don't know. We're just, I don't really use gimmicky things. I don't use like, any sort of like hooks for attention just because like I want people to come to me as like educational content. I don't want to be inflammatory content. I don't want to be like, hey, Pub. Yeah.
I do want to, this is kind of where ethically I'm trying to figure out, like, I do want to use some of the techniques that get me more engagement, because I think the things I'm talking about are important, but there's a very fine line between that and it being cringy and gimmicky. And yes. I want to step over that line. So myself and my brand strategist were kind of working on like what ethically fits my personal comfort level, what's consistent with me and my brand, but what would gain me the kind of success that I need to support myself. Because I don't got a corporate job anymore. So I need to, this is going to support me. It needs to support me. And so I'm building the infrastructure for it now, but it needs to be a going concern, as they used to say back in the day. This business is a concern. So the way to do that, I know there's a way to do that, because I don't believe that producing quality content, whether you're at a major news network or a major entertainment network or you're a content creator, I don't believe that quality is anathema to profit or to success. I don't believe that is true. I don't believe you have to sell your soul in order to eat. Like, you shouldn't be. I refuse to live in a world like that. So I'm going to find whatever that space is where I'm comfortable, but my business checking isn't overdrawn. I'm going to find that space and be in that space.
I know you will. Speaking that, name it and claim it, baby. Speaking that over your life.
A lot of money going out. But yeah, so that is kind of what I've been noticing, and that trend is driven. I don't know how to address it or stop it, like outside of doing this. Like, what is the strategy? Like, do you have any ideas?
Well, yes, I have some thoughts. I just want to address that Public said, you're extremely inflammatory, YV, and that's a good thing. I always hope to be inflammatory towards men. I do get concerned when and I love that. I love that I'm inflammatory towards them. I know they crash out. That's the thing I expect every time. That's not surprising to me. I'm wondering when it became inflammatory to other women for a married woman to speak on this app, for a married woman to open her mouth and say, hey, have y'all noticed this? Like, hey, like, I'm just, noticing trends around this, or, this is why I wouldn't personally recommend getting married. I don't even make that kind of content, though, honestly. It's just like the critique of men's behavior.
What I think for you that might set people off, particularly if you have an American audience, you are from Eastern Europe. And Eastern European people roll a totally different way. Like, they're much more direct. They have much lower tolerance for bullshit. Every single person from Russia, Ukraine, Belarus that I've ever met has that similar sensibility. And that is very off-putting to Americans who require, sunshine blown up our ass every day for us to feel comfortable. That is an adjustment that we have to make when we listen to someone who grew up in those areas talk, because it's not, you don't sugarcoat things. You really don't. I mean, I don't do that either, which is very un-American actually of me. That I'm told growing up in this country is a problem, because I don't do that. I'm too direct, and that is a very unfeminine.
Yes, they hate that.
And other places, but that is something people have to sort of get comfortable with. I'm not going to soften my language or my approach or do the trad wife ASMR voice. Well, I might do that once just for fun, like insult someone in the ASMR voice. Sometimes I do it on live.
You have a great voice for ASMR. Don't sleep on that, honestly.
On lives when I'm on panels with men, and I just call them misogynistic, and I just whisper, what you're saying is incredibly terrible, and you probably never satisfied a woman, and I'm very, very sorry that you're sad. But
that's amazing. As you should.
I don't do that like to make people comfortable with what I'm, saying. It's just, Clark, it's the straw man stuff that they don't even really realize they're happening. But I just feel, I hate that like so many women are falling into this trap, and not just the women making the content, the women liking it, sharing it in the comments, saying, oh my God, I'm so glad someone's talking about this, and you're right, she's a total fraud, blah, blah, like, oh my gosh.
It's that. That's what I'm trying to talk about.
What is to gain from the observer that's in the comments feeding that beast? Like, what are you really gaining as a woman, as a, what is the world gaining by you doing this?
I don't know.
I don't see any advantage either to you or to anybody else in the movement from that kind of behavior.
Right. But then people will say that we, quote unquote, did the same thing to a certain individual.
She's MAGA. Like being a married feminist and being MAGA. Like you literally voted for a dude, a rapist. Like that is not the same as the bandage dress is back. Like those, you think those are the same thing? Like, just the idea.
I think she wants everyone else to think those are the same thing because it's projection and it's like trying to save her own ass. But yeah, Public said they always try to find a reason not to listen. That's when they pick apart your personal life. Some people are saying like jealousy. I think it's more of like, yeah, a sense of superiority. And I do think maybe it is like trying not to listen, but I fear it's evolved into like finger pointing. It's kind of like how Christians will do it. Y'all know that joke about like, man was about to jump off a bridge and like another man comes up to him and he's like, wait, don't jump. Like, have you heard about God? Like, are you a Christian? And the other dude's like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. So like, are you, I'm a Baptist. Like, what are you? And he's like, oh, I'm a Baptist. And they're like, oh, awesome. Like, they're like, what kind of like church, what denomination of Baptist? And it's like, oh, I'm this kind of Baptist. And like, then they just keep going. And finally, the other dude asks like, well, is it the convention of 1819 or the convention of 1817? And the dude says 1817. And he goes, die heretic, and pushes him off a bridge. Like it feels like we got to that point.
Yes, it is. And I also feel like in the discussion, like you can disagree with another feminist about something and have it not end up like a Real Housewives reunion.
Right.
Like you and I agree on pornography. We have different views on that, but it's never been like a takedown of, Therese's wrong on pornography and here's why. Like there's never been anything like that. It's just like that. And that is one of those issues that, of all the issues that would divide feminists, I would think that the knockdown would be about that.
Right.
And this other stuff, like, because that at least warrants a serious discussion. And there's not just two sides to that story. There's like 7 sides to that story. It's a very like rich, nuanced subject. And I would, if we're going to have a real conversation about something, I would like it to be something like that actually does have really high stakes and that there are several valid angles and opinions on that subject that any person can offer. But no, we're talking about she's married and she's too pretty and she uses moisturizer that's too expensive, or she wears makeup, or she does like,
or she wears a bandage dress, or like she goes on dates. It's like, okay. And like then those dates get used as like experience, as a teaching experience. Like going on dates is for God's strongest soldiers, you know what I mean? So they can return from the battlefield and tell the rest of us why we shouldn't do it. Like why it used to be viewed like that too. Like, and also the video that a lot of people are flaming MJ for, that she said,
only baddies approach me, or
only baddies approach me. Yes, she's made that video before to no criticism. She made that video last year. I feel like she makes that video every year because she lives in motherfucking LA. And yes, like you said, like when women, when model-esque women, like they can spot each other, right? Like not a lot of people come up to me in real life because I don't live in like a city that is like a lot of other people live in, that a lot like other influencers live in. Like she gets outside too. I never go outside because I live in a very rainy place. Like she's outside, she's socializing, she's at parties
where they're taking pictures. She's that kind of girl. She's on the invite list to all of the things. I barely leave my house.
Exactly.
Which I'm fine with, but like it just, we have different lives.
And we have a different niche, right? And it's like also the place that you would come from speaking to like other women that are in that niche, like other models, you have to think of it like outreach, right? You have to think of it like you can't hit them with intersectional feminist theory. Like, you know what I mean? It's just gonna like, there's levels to this. There's a conveyor belt to this, right? There's that whole like it's validation for women in different stages of the process, right? You may feel on your decentering men journey like you may just get tired of going on dates, and so you go to a creator who makes content about going on dates, right? And validates how you have felt on these dates, right? Because a lot of times people don't validate each other in real life. Like you'll go on a bad date and your mom will say, well, all men are like that. You should marry him. You know, you'll go on a bad date and your friends will be like, oh, just give him a chance, you know? So it's very validating for women to hear all levels of this type of content, no matter how, you know, like where it starts at. Like,
And you can't if you start at the advanced level, if you start with the intersectionality thing, you're going to be preaching to the choir. Because if someone's receptive to the message, they've already done like a lot of the work. And Sarah on this app, I can't remember her last name, but she is a science communication PhD candidate. I don't know if you know her content, and she did video a couple days ago or yesterday about how, you know, the Mehdi Hassan debates, but this online debate culture where you get like a crazy conservative and like 20, that is not useful. Like you might as well watch like wrestling. It just reminds me of like dead wrestling. It's purely like entertainment, you know, there's no real discussion. She said that we have this opinion that if we just gave people more information, they would be better people. Or if we just gave men more information, they would see us as human. If we just gave MAGA more information, you know, et cetera, et cetera. That is like one of the least effective communication techniques to change someone's mind. Among the most effective is storytelling. Like telling someone a like personal story to get to illustrate the point, to like take you on the journey of that person's experience. That is much more effective than, you know, just throwing facts at people, you know, hoping that it'll stick. And I think the people producing that content, Jubilee, whatever media organization they are, they know that they're making it clickbaity. And
looking for sound bites and stuff.
I'm not sure if it doesn't seem like Mehdi Hassan was aware how bad that was when he went on. I think he's got a lesson learned now. That I think Candace Owens, she knows what that game is because she's been in that, you know, media gotcha grifter game for like 20 years. But Mehdi Hassan, I think, thought he was doing not like a super serious. He didn't think it was like Meet the Press, but he thought it might be like a semi-serious thing. And he was just kind of
trolls, yeah.
Yeah, that it was just sitting in a room with 20 trolls. But I do feel I do feel like we need to get away from these old models and realize that we're doing these for entertainment and for clicks. And the more we turn it into a fight, the more we position it. It's not a real discussion. It's not trying to understand or empathize with someone's position. It's just people coming in for the fight, for the knockdown drag out. And that, I don't think that's useful.
No, because like, where's that gonna lead? Like, you're throwing fists, you're throwing punches, okay, but what kind of crowd are you attracting? Like, that's my other thing about like, so people typically project what they are. That's something that like the reason why I don't get too upset about this stuff is because like I know people are projecting from how they really feel. It's not about me. It's really not. It's not about me. It's about how people feel on the inside. And I get that. But what happens is when these certain creators get on their hate train, is that other hateful people get on that hate train. The whole goal is like to make you unable to defend yourself, is to throw out these crazy accusations to where you're going to look crazier trying to defend it, right?
The irony of it is they are attacking, in this particular situation, the MJ situation, they're attacking MJ, essentially calling her a white feminist.
Mm-hmm.
The way they're doing it is like classic white womaning. Right? They're white womaning so hard to criticize the woman for being a white feminist. Like it blows my mind. I'm just like, this is classic. This is classic white womaning. Like just y'all. And y'all police yourselves harsher than any of us ever could. They are very, the culture of like white womanhood is brutal, and they ostracize each other very, very easily and quickly, and they're brutal about it. And until you step away from that core group and you have like you have like new friend circles, and then you go back. I was watching Grace and Frankie the other day, and I'm in like the first season, and it's where Grace like goes back to some of her old suburban friends that she used to hang out with after living in the beach house with Frankie for like a year. And she realizes being away from them how just freaking horrible these women are. And they're those kind of women. And she just eventually just walks out. They are the way that they treat each other. How could we expect them to treat us any better? Because they don't even treat each other well.
Right.
So
And that kind of exclusivity started a long time ago with Susan B. Anthony and the Little Minions that were like, oh, you know, we'll definitely use Black women's labor to get the word out about our movement, to boost our movement. But when it comes to actually marching and like being visible, we can either have a Black procession or a white procession or no procession. And this is exactly what's happening. Like, it's literally like, oh, you can be a feminist, but only if you're a feminist like this, like this, like this, and like this. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Like, that's that white woman, like, exclusion. Whereas, like, intersectional feminism and the actual fucking matriarchy focuses on ultimate all like inclusion of everybody. It's a system where everybody's met based on their needs and not some other kind of like weird puritanical or like you know, meritocracy, right? The patriarchy is ultimately a meritocracy, and that is like when you reinforce meritocracy with other feminists and you're like, you're not good enough because of this, you need to be like this, you need to do this. It's like, oh, okay, we're trying to build, like, this is what I've been saying. I've been trying to ring the alarm bells about this as a white woman, because I'm like, I noticed this kind of cropping up a while ago. And I'm like, this white women don't care about toppling the patriarchy. They do not want a matriarchy. They do not want to be equal with other people. That is their worst nightmare. They've been waiting for their turn. They've been waiting for their turn to be the leader. You want to lead the movement and you want to be the only one to lead the movement, when in reality, it is going to take all of us women to even make a dent. Like, you know, the patriarchy is a very strong and powerful system, but it's like, even back in that day, if Susan B. Anthony wasn't such a dumb fucking bitch, like, sorry, but like, if she wasn't, the men would have actually lost. You know what I mean? If all the women came out and marched, the men would have a reason to fear. They would have a reason to actually give everybody their rights. But it's like, because you withheld, you're withholding. Like, that's the white woman, like, MO, withholding.
the attention, and if we would have been inclusive from the start, we could have won this thing 200 years ago. We could have won.
Wouldn't be having this conversation.
If like Dolly Madison and Abigail Adams were sitting here right now, like, y'all could have fixed this from jump. Like, you could have just, and your husbands letting, you know, all like perfectly enjoying all the wealth you were getting from the slave trade, because whose ships were shipping people back and forth? Those ships came out of Boston, a lot of them. So like, you just want the power. Who is asking? I don't know who this person is. I'm not, no co-hosts decline. I don't know who are asking to co-host. I don't know who that is. But yeah, it is like, I am just so, the amount of missed opportunities that we had, and like the moment that y'all got free, you were like, great, I have a career, and then you exploited a Black or brown woman to do all the labor, instead of saying, why isn't my husband doing this stuff? Or why is it so expensive to do this stuff? Why, like, instead of asking the real questions, you were just like, off all that labor on a black woman. And then when we started going to college and we weren't as cheap to employ anymore, then you had, oh, let's get a Mexican woman or a Polish woman. In the Midwest, there's still a lot of those jobs are done by like white Polish women. The immigrants.
That's what I mean, is it like only escalates. It only starts to affect more people when we do this. Like, it's fucking crazy making that we are like moving backwards so rapidly. Like, I swear, when I got on this app, it felt like it was forward progress. And right now it feels like I'm just fighting for my life to explain the basics to people, the very fucking basics. Like, by excluding more women from the movement, you're going to have a smaller movement. It's going to be ineffective. Like, you couldn't have paid the CIA couldn't have paid anybody to do it better than we're doing it. Like, honestly, there's no need. There's no need to like infiltrate the women's movement, because here we are.
The reason why I think what drives that particular kind of whatever you want to call it, boss bitch feminism, pink patriarchy, whatever you want to call it. I think one of the drives is that they don't have what it takes to exist in the world that we want to build, and they know it. And Danita Platt on this points this out a lot. She is a home economics, cooking, type of person, but she also approaches that content from the lens of like white supremacy and kind of understanding like, the history of labor and the intersectionality of race and gender. And she says that in the coming years, we're going to see a lot more like homemaking content from white women, but it's going to be very performative, because the reason why they have to keep exploiting the labor of Black and brown women is because they have no skills and they have no community, because they never bothered to build one. So
Because,
they
yes.
labor of our communities and use that to do the heavy lifting while they go to space for
Mhm.
15 minutes or whatever.
I mean, yes. It's all about like outsourcing it and like just not facing the actual reality of what it takes to build this kind of community. And then when they are faced with that reality, they just would rather not. They go into a different direction, and it slows everybody else down. But yeah, my frontal lobe just grew. That's really that's how I feel every time I talk to Therese.
They've never had to. That's the thing. We've had to, like, y'all were run by the USSR for as long as you can remember. So you had to like come up with something. We were owned for 400 years. It was by necessity. We had to develop these skills and build these communities. They've never really had to. But with the impending economic collapse, and you're not going to be able to get everything you need at the Trader Joe's frozen food section. And believe me, no one will be crying bigger tears about that than me. I love the Trader Joe's frozen food section just as much as the next person. But like you need to learn like basic skills and how to like form connections and build community. Then it's like they refuse to do it. They're still very insular in there. They only want to live in a place with that where people are racially homogenous, and occasionally they'll let in a Black or brown person if they make enough money. Like they're very like racially homogenous, economically homogenous, and they still cling to those tropes of like, oh don't move to that neighborhood, that's dangerous. I can't tell you how many like upper middle class white women, when I was married and we were living in Chicago, were telling us that Rogers Park, that neighborhood in Chicago, was a ghetto. Rogers Park and Edgewater were ghettos. Anybody who's from Chicago and who's listening right now, major side eye. Like Edgewater, Rogers Park, those are perfectly fine neighborhoods. It's not the West Side. It's not, or even parts of the West Side aren't really the West Side. But just that whole, they still have this sort of NIMBY idea. Like they're the first people at the city council meeting to, resist the affordable housing plan. They're the first people on the zoning board to keep the residential zoning where you have to have a minimum lot of like 2 acres or something. Don't get me started on stuff in New England. I'm trying to do like a women's communal living thing up here, and the zoning laws are crazy. And women up here defend those zoning laws, even though they primarily attack single women and people who aren't rich and Black and brown people. And they are the first people, the moms for liberty types, they're the first people at the city council meeting saying no.
Yep.
Like
because they think it's going to pass them by. Like they think that their privilege will once again protect them, but it's like, no, trust me when I say we have run out of people to exploit. and it has come to our, white women's doorstep, and that's when it's reached the top. It's never going to touch the white men, right? So it's like that's when it's reached a boiling point, because like I was thinking about this, and it's yeah, we've just have never, like, this started with the tabloids and like Britney Spears and like all this kind of stuff. And when those women spoke out, Princess Diana, right, when those women spoke out and said, hey, this is too much, you're attacking me too much, you are like assuming things about me that I can't defend against, like, this is really, really bad for us. And nobody listened, because it was fun to pile on the women, right? It was fun to see who lost or gained 2 pounds this week. It was fun to see like who's got the flabbiest butt, who has the most cellulite.
We got a new victim this week. Jennifer Love Hewitt came
Right.
on the red carpet to promote. There's a remake of I Know What You Did Last Summer, and she looks just like a normal person, just like a normal lady in her 50s or 40s who's had like 5 kids or something. And when I first looked at her, I was like, damn, that ass, you look good. She's always had like the big boobs. She's always been like kind of full up top, but now she's got like the thing on. I think she looks great. But again, it doesn't matter what I think, because I'm just a person in the world, but whatever. But all the people in the comments talking about like fat shaming her, all white women.
Exactly.
It's just so it's just nuts. But yeah, they really, really go at your own. Like,
yes. Because that's like the real threat, you know what I mean? That's like that's who you're competing for men with. And that's why I find it funny that that was like woven into the narrative about me by a certain individual, that I'm just trying to tell women to stay single, to keep all the men for myself. And I'm like, see, that says more about you than it does about me. The fact that you think that way, the fact that you think men are something that women are lacking, that, I can gatekeep the men from y'all, like, that is weird, that you're seeing competition where there isn't any competition. In fact, I think women are very powerful on their own. I don't think you need a man, but it's like you seem to think that. That's really weird, because every time they attack women, it's like you are saying something about yourself, like, oh, she's fat or whatever, like, oh, or she got fat. And it's like, I wonder why you feel that way. Like, I wonder why you feel like it's okay to say these things. Like, you seem like you hate yourself. You seem like you're in competition with like imaginary people. You're fighting demons that are not like, they're demons of your own creation.
The thin privilege in among those groups of women is they fight so hard to maintain the thin privilege, and they're the ones that are most critical of Ozempic too, because they're like, oh wait, you mean now women can lose weight without torturing themselves? Like, I've been torturing myself for 20 years. Which, by the way, that's not easy. I've been on Ozempic for about a year, and that stuff is not easy.
I just heard it's not fun.
It is when you first start it, especially you can get like the nausea, the really bad side effects. All in, I think that it's a beneficial medication to have access to, particularly if you're diabetic or you are very overweight and you also have mobility issues, which I did last year. And it helped me drop a significant amount of weight to the point where my joints don't hurt from my autoimmune disease anymore, and I can walk.
That's amazing.
That's great. But like, it is the people who were taking it to like get bikini ready. I'm like, you're going to be like nauseous and whatever for like 2 months just so you can, and you're already like a 4. Like,
I don't care. They would take prescription meth again if they could. Like,
yeah, like you're like this, like you're the size of like my right leg, and like you're fine. Like, I'm sure your bikini body is great. Like, just do the bikini body is whatever body your body is in when you're wearing a bikini. That's a bikini body. Just go to Maui and have fun. Like, why are you torturing yourself? Why are you torturing other people?
Because the policing starts within. The policing is applied within. And that's how you stay a part of the patriarchy. That's what I mean. It's like the monitoring spirit lives within you, and you are letting it out. Like, you're letting it out full blast, right? And it's like, that's how you can tell, you know, the MAGA voters and stuff, because they're always pointing fingers. Like, it's not a call in, it's not even a call out, it's just a pointing of fingers. And it's like, listen, we can sit here and point fingers all day. I have things to point fingers at, but I don't want to point fingers, because it's more important to come together on the things that we agree on. It is infinitely more important to do that. We can sort out all the rest of the stuff once we have our autonomy back. We have, you know what I mean? Like, if you voted against that, then it's F you all the way. You know, if you voted against that, like, that's the only thing that I believe prevents women from being a feminist, is voting against women's rights. You objectively cannot call yourself a feminist if you voted against women's rights. The fight of feminism has always been about women's rights. So if you vote against that, you are not a feminist. Like, objectively, like, I don't care textbook definition. I don't care what else you say. I don't care what kind of decentrament content you make. It's coming from a non-feminist place. It's coming from either a grifting place or a place of, like, you just know that this has been popular content on the app and none of your other grifts worked. Like, that's where it's coming from.
Some people who, how I feel about people who opt out of voting, it's literally all we have left.
Literally.
The only we have left. So, like, what do you think you're proving? What do you think you're, and are, there are a lot of people in 2024 that didn't show up.
Yeah. That's why we're here.
Turnout almost always benefits the left, and low turnout always benefits the right. So when we have low turnout, conservatives and conservative policies tend to win out. So yes, I do blame them for not voting, because you are contributing to making it easier for the Republicans to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about that.
And it was crazy because the whole hang up was about, like, G side, you know? And I'm like, so by not voting, you do realize what you're doing. Like, you're literally have made it worse. Like, you literally have made it worse. The fact that it is now being sold as, actually, let's finish it up faster so that we can build waterfront property on that. You did that. If you didn't vote, you did that because you were like, oh, I'm not voting for Kamala because the left of establishment, whatever, they support genocide. That's all I have to say to you.
Stop it. Didn't improve. Not a single person in that region's life improved because you didn't vote. In fact, it got worse. Like you said, it got worse. So it's like, just like, we can get to the, I would ride her ass forever on it when she's in office, but, like, what are we doing here? It's just, and they think that they're some sort of, like, high and mighty super moral person for not whatever. You look like a clown.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look, not only do you look stupid, but you look mean.
Mm-hmm.
And the empathy that you're constantly saying everybody should have, you look like you don't have any.
Couldn't agree more.
So
yeah.
I think, and instead of, you know, the women who are all up in the skinny thing, instead of worrying about your fupa, worry about what's underneath your fupa. Are you doing your Kegels? What's with your pH? Are you going to your appointments? Important shit. Stop worrying about ridiculous stuff. Do you need to go get your tubes tied? Because we're in this weird climate now. You know, they got the O pill over the counter now, and you need to stock up. You can get the AB pills from a pharmacy in India, and you can stockpile. If we're gonna worry about those parts of our bodies, let's have a real discussion to worry about the shit that matters. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
No, 100%.
Yeah, I'm getting so tired with this, but I feel like I'm actually developing a course right now. Well, not a course, but like it was going to be a course, but then I realized people don't like to learn. So I'm like, just do a series like you did with your Red Pill series. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do like a series. It's like quasi-educational, but it's going to be, and there's going to be several different topics. I'm gonna start with feminism, and it's going to branch out. And I'm currently outlining and building that now, and it's going to help people figure out, not only understand the history of the movement, but figure out where they fit in the movement. Like, you know, what kind of feminist are you?
Mm-hmm.
And who, like, what are your values to which which wave are you most similar to, which subset of each wave, and if you are in this subset and you want to be in this subset, how do you get there? Like, what's the other work you need to do? Like that's kind of what it's going to be. So that is, I'm really excited about getting started on that, because I feel like fundamentally, even people who say they're feminists don't even really understand feminism completely. They don't understand the movement. They don't understand the major tenets of it. They don't, like, there was this comic who has a podcast. You should have a license to have a podcast. You should have to, it's like a driver's license.
I agree.
So she had a podcast and she said, I really love Gloria Steinem and all those women, but they never considered mothers. The problem is those women didn't have any children. As I said earlier before, like more than half from this were married, and most of them had children as well. The women who wrote the Our Bodies Ourselves, the Boston Medical Collective, whatever, majority of them had kids. So it's like you clearly know nothing about that movement, because if you think Gloria Steinem was the only woman in it, she was just the poster girl, and because they knew they had to have a hot girl poster girl,
right?
If then were now, it would have been MJ.
MJ
would have been the face of the second wave. If then were now,
seriously,
to get people to pay attention, sometimes you gotta have like a thin white woman at the front. Just like when in civil rights, you can't have a dark-skinned pregnant teen being the face of the Montgomery bus boycott. You got to have a high yellow, like older lady who's just in a lovely hat, just trying to get to work. You have
the optics matter.
Optics matter, exactly. So yeah, if people who and Americans specifically have like what an average of 6th grade reading level. The average adult. I was listening to I think it was your podcast the other day, to Audacity, where you're talking about how like dumb the American education system was, and like how you were your first day of like 5th grade or something, and you were like appalled. 6th grade, and you were just appalled that you were like, what? Like, I've done algebra. Like, what's going on? Like that. It's the level.
Blow my mind.
Most people just don't really know much. Not about the history of other countries, but we don't even know our own history. But be prepared, because it is 2025. What's next year? 2026, the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration. We are going to have so much patriot myth crap blown up our ass in 2026. Just be prepared for all of that propaganda.
I think they have big things planned. I think they're going to like do some major scary changes on
and if you're not following Tad Stormer on here, the public historian, he's got a book coming out next year called A Resistance History of the United States, and him and other historians are really pushing back against this sort of patriot myth, and he's a very good person to follow. I'm like already bracing myself for the talk about the relationship between Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings, the relationship. Like, it was just like they were dating, and it was like fun and naughty, and he owned her. Like, just, yeah, there's going to be a lot of that stuff. There's going to be
so scary. Yeah. Like the revisionist history is real. And I think that a lot of people are not going to be educated enough to know any different. And that's really scary, because I was very educated on the history of my country. I was very educated on even the part that Ukraine played in like Holocaust and things like that, just because you have to know this stuff. If you go to Germany, that stuff is around every corner, right? It's got historical facts. It's got like all this stuff so that people won't forget. And the American education system is built exactly in the opposite way. It's where it's like, yeah. And then we realized that slavery was in America and nobody knew. And it's not like the whole country was like participating in it. And it's not like it was considered the norm. All of a sudden, everybody woke up and was like, where did the slavery come from? And then everybody joined hands and got rid of slavery. Yeah. And everything's been fine ever since.
Someone's asking, how can we prepare, where to start? Well, I can start with the documents themselves. because we weren't shy about what our intentions were. Our bigotry, our white supremacy, our whatever was written clearly into those documents. Like the 3/5 compromise, okay, we know we have to talk about slavery, but we're not going to talk about it until like 1808. And then we'll talk about it. And then we never talked about it. And we kicked it down the road further. Like there specifically, I know the language is very kind of like flowery and weird because Thomas Jefferson's a pick me, but like who just needs all the attention. Like it is very clear what their intentions were, what they were willing to prioritize, and what they were willing to ignore. If you stop the preamble, like the meat is in like Article 2, Section 9. Like you got to read the whole entire thing and read all of the 14th Amendment or all of the 13th Amendment, because that second bit is important. So I think that we can start with reading in their entirety the founding documents. Also, this is a slightly tougher read though, but I'm going to do content on this as that year approaches. The Federalist Papers. Read the Federalist Papers. They're very, most of them are very sort of like flowery and wordy because Hamilton was a egotistical POS. Yes, the musical's great, but that dude was not a good dude.
No, and that's why I never watched it, because I was like, this is still propaganda. This is everybody joining hands to save Black people propaganda. That's never happened in the history of this country, ever. Nobody has ever joined hands to protect people of color. Like, I'm sorry.
What I do like about that show is they, to the extent that he can, they don't gloss over the fact that he was kind of a dick. There's a whole song about how he like wrote like a penthouse letter about this chick he was banging and put it in the newspaper and for everybody to read. Like, and that is a BS horrible thing to do. And about how he would never shut up and he was a massive egomaniac. But when you're constructing a story like that and you have a villain who's worse, like it's like the Breaking Bad effect. Like, yes, your protagonist is horrible, but look at this other douchebag. Like he's just like, so when you position and triangulate those two characters, you end up rooting for the main guy who's a terrible person, but your choices are between that guy and that guy. What I did not like is the lionization of George Washington. That is the most offensive thing about Hamilton. That is the most offensive part. Like totally glossing over everything, making him the like the moment you've been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, the bride of Mount Vernon. I'm like, are you kidding me?
This is the accountability that we hold men to. And this is why I get so mad, like, especially white men. And it's like, not a single man has yet been held properly accountable for his crimes. And we're ready to start pointing fingers at women. I don't know. That's the part that just doesn't make sense to me. Is like, why are you worried about what women are doing? Like who's in their bed or whatever, like what kind of work they do. Why are you insinuating, like, because it's also like this weird puritanical direction that we're going with, especially with the criticism of MJ being like, oh yeah, but she's a sugar baby. And it's like, well, who's pointing fingers? An ex strip club worker? Like, who's pointing fingers? You know what I mean?
And that's fine that you're an ex-strip club
worker. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We're in the same game.
Yes.
Shit.
Yes.
What are you, glass house? Why are you throwing all these stones? It's just really silly and stupid. And I think it's all, part of it is like just like a vying for attention. Like there's this whole, we are triangulated against each other to compete, not just for men, but also for like jobs and stuff. So because if you still support the hierarchy system, you think, okay, there's only room for one of us at the top, and I'm going to be that bitch, and this other bitch is not want her to be. So they're like vying for those one or two spots in the C-suite or in the, with who gets the affiliate marketing deal or whatever, not realizing that there's enough space, there is enough for all of us to kind of do our thing. Like, I'm not in competition with you or Burb or Mel or anyone. Like, and we've never thought of it that way. And I have no problem like sharing, tips and tricks and verb, and everybody is really good about that. There's always someone in the group chat saying, hey, I discovered this new thing today. I discovered this new app that really helps me do X, Y, and Z. You should check it out, blah, blah, blah. Like there's never any people who are not, have truly deconstructed, don't behave like that. You don't.
Yes. Yeah, if you have decentered the patriarchy, that means you have decentered like hierarchical hierarchical systems. So you wouldn't think of the feminist movement as any kind of hierarchy. You would think there's enough room for all of us. And in fact, the more of us that are speaking, the better that objectively is. We should not be trying to shut each other up. And it seems as though like, oh, is that a ring light?
No, it's not. I just hit the thing because what I was trying to do was go off camera for a second because I gotta I'll just get up and do it. I gotta change my close my blinds because the sun is right on my face. And I'll turn on this other light, and I'll knock over our plants first though. Sorry, that was what the big crack was. My little fake olive tree went on. Maybe use this.
Oh, we have a good question in the chat. So what do we even mean by accountability? I think that's a good question.
What is being accountable? I think once you've made a mistake and it's been brought to your attention, apologize in a real way. Don't do the I'm sorry I offended someone. I screwed up real bad once recently. I accidentally called an Irish woman English. And that was a big to do. As it turns out, there was more drama with that creator, but I'm not gonna get into that now. But my initial mistake, and it was honestly an honest mistake. I'm aware of why. And the minute I realized it, I was horrified. But then again, in the comments, white women being what they are, were criticizing me in a very white woman kind of way. And there were some comments I had to delete that were straight up racist. So I'm like, okay, you get to call me out for my dumbass mistake, but you don't get to be racist while you're doing it. Exactly. And so I apologize directly. I'm sorry for doing the thing. Not I'm sorry you felt a certain way. I'm sorry for doing the thing I did. And here is my explanation of I do actually know something about your history and I understand the import of my mistake. So I did a brief summary of the history of the English's behavior against the Irish and the famine and how it was manufactured. Just a little what I could do in 10 minutes. I went as deep as I could to get the point across. And I was like, yeah, see, I know your history. And if you knew mine, my people's, you'd understand why that crap in the comments is not cool.
Yes.
But yeah, so you do have to apologize. And because of, I think, the gravity of that situation, also because of the content that I do, I did a little thing to talk a little bit about the subject to show that, yeah, I actually am aware of what's going on with this. I know about it and I'm very, very sorry. But I think it depends on what kind of content creator you are, the particular nature of the offense, how serious it was. But it always starts with a real apology. That's the first thing. It should always start with a real apology.
Yeah. An example from my tenure on here is one of the early videos I made was about Shira 7. And then I got another question about Shira 7 later on that was asking so sprinkle is the way for women then. And I thought I was going to be real cool and make this whole video about no, I don't recommend sprinkle because then you're at the mercy of a man and you're going to be doing all of this cooking and cleaning and basically, kind of misinterpreting the whole message. And a lot of women, specifically Black women, were calling me out being that's not what she says. She has a whole book called I Don't Bring Anything to the Table. She's not cooking and cleaning. She's, if you do that, that's your prerogative, but that's not what she's saying. And I like literally that's what I had to do. I had to take down that video because it was going viral, because a lot of people were like jumping on it, you know, just to hate on a woman, right? And so I immediately took that down, even though I could have left it up. It would have shaken out to make me money. It would have, you know, probably gotten me new followers and stuff like that. I didn't want those followers because they would have been just as poorly researched and as, you know, bad in that situation as me. So I took that video down and I made another video using clips from that video to call myself out, to be like, this is what I said. This is why it was wrong. This is what she actually says. And I'm sorry. So, like, there's lots of different ways to respond to criticism, like, without avoiding accountability, without, like, you know, deleting stuff and just like never addressing it. There are ways, and it's not that hard. It's really not.
Yeah, it's very, it just takes like you gotta be an adult and, you know, what do they call it? Take your medicine and like realize, take your medicine and move on. And it's horrible. It's humiliating and you feel terrible. Once you realize your mistake, it sucks, but you have to like sit with it and experience the uncomfortableness. And the problem with the Wahite women is that they don't like being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They will defend what they did, even though deep down in their Lululemon soul, they know what they did was wrong.
Lululemon soul.
But they don't want to be uncomfortable, because if you acknowledge you're wrong, you have to deal with all those uncomfortable feelings that come up when you make that kind of mistake, and they don't want to deal with those uncomfortable feelings because they don't like being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's why you can't say vagina at brunch. Like, they don't want to be uncomfortable. Like, they don't want to, like, it's just so, like, what can I talk about at this event? Like, is it,
yes,
like, they get married, you know? But yeah, that's what it is. They don't like feeling uncomfortable.
It is what it is. And that's one of the things that I realized too, as a white immigrant, is like, kind of like what you said earlier. It's like, I'll come out and I'll say something that I think is perfectly normal. And then people get so uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh, like, tough crowd. Like, I don't know.
Like, they look at you and on the first glance, they think you're like original recipe English white woman type, that sensibility. And when they realize, oh, no, this is something different. This is something different. Countries and cultures are different. It's because you look like me doesn't mean you're going to be the same as me. And that, I can imagine, that's very shocking to them when they first notice that you are not, one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to see that. Those church women, those Protestant church women, when you rolled up in there. It'd be so funny. They're the worst. They're so weird. It's just like,
and then they treat you weird when you kind of like call that out. You know, like, whenever I would question like the church, you know, kind of hypocrisy or whatever, the way that they would try to gloss over it would be so creepy. Like, Get Out was a great example of like how that conversation goes. Is it's very like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And then the like, boom, they like, you know, you all of a sudden you don't know where you are. You're like, wait, like,
no.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, the men are good to us. Like, the men are leaders. Oh my God. And I was like, wait, do you guys know where I come from? Like, literally the funny humor in like a TV show is like, a husband comes home drunk or like without the money that he was paid, and the wife is waiting for him with a frying pan in her hand. Like, I don't feel bad for men. I don't feel like they're leaders. That was never taught to me like that. It was taught to me that men will ruin your life and you should always be armed with a frying pan to knock some sense into him or to protect yourself or whatever. And so it was always like really weird, because they're like, no, just let him mess up, let him like lead you, let him like, let God deal with him. And I'm like, no, the frying pan is going to deal with him. Like, what are you talking about?
I think it might have to do with it where you're from. It's too cold. to be dealing with that nonsense. It's too like those countries like the tundra. Ain't nobody got time to wait for men to lead when it's 30 below and Stalin's doing some crazy crap. You don't have time. No, you don't have time for that bullshit. Not no, you don't have time. But if you're on a veranda in Charleston, I guess there's all the time in the world, and someone else mixing your mint julep, there's all the time in the world to worry about nonsense.
Exactly. Yep. And letting men walk all over you and that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, no, like we really don't have time for this. I love the frying pans and let's bring back the frying pans, guys. Like for real.
I mean, like she wasn't of Russian origin, but the most famous monarch that country ever had, that I think is kind of what they're still itching for, that like sort of imperialist thing they're trying to get back through like the autocracy. One of your most famous their most famous monarchs was a German princess who came to Russia and was like, this guy's an asshole, and basically did the imperial frying pan equivalent and like overthrew him and took over the country.
Right.
That's the kind of women we're talking about here. That's the vibe.
That's the precedent.
That part of the world, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a different thing. But yeah, like I don't know what is gonna, because everyone's waiting for the wake up moment. Just like with the current administration and then the MAGA people, everyone's waiting. This is going to be the moment they're going to turn around. This is going to be the moment, and it's like, no, like nothing is gonna. So I don't see a moment that's gonna, this particular kind of woman we're dealing with. This is I don't see a moment when that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I don't see a moment.
I think we're moving further away from the moment because, like, I was talking about this earlier, but the whole Luigi thing kind of radicalized me in a sad direction, because I realized that people are just gonna wait for more Luigis. Like, when stuff like this happens in other countries, and I'm not saying by any means other countries are perfect, like whatever, right? But in France, like, people will take to the streets, right? When one person does something radical, the other people don't hole up and wait for more individuals to come out and take matters into their own hands. And I fear that that's what's actually starting this whole vigilante justice against women specifically, because people are just sitting on their ass waiting for something to happen. And I'm like, you have to take to the streets. That's the whole point. Like, y'all have been brainwashed by Avengers films and like, what is it, Die Hard, and like all of these things, because it's like there's one guy and he saves all the rest of the people. That's not going to happen. Like, Luigi happened and they took healthcare away from people. Like
nothing happened.
And nobody did anything. Nobody's in the streets. So it's like, I mean,
and if you're not going to go in the streets, because a lot of people were taking a break from that.
Yes. And I'm speaking specifically to the white people. Yeah.
Why weren't they out?
Yeah. Yes.
But if you're not doing that, and you're not doing something to build some community later, if you're not like, I'm looking at this whole intentional living thing. I'm looking at land. I'm figuring out zoning. I'm trying to figure out like how this is going to work. One of my mutuals on here wrote a book about it. I'm going through her book, and we're going to chat about it, and we're going to like, I'm going to start talking about this book very soon. But like that kind of work, if you're not doing something, like, what are you doing? If you're not on the streets, what else are you doing? Are you building a mutual aid organization? Are you getting to know your neighbors? Are you going to your city council meetings? You figure out like, what are you doing?
No, like, seriously, that is what it takes. And I'm lucky, again, like I live in a city that is progressive, very liberal. All of these things are kind of at our fingertips, the city meetings, the initiatives are very easy and stuff. And but it's taken a lot of, people do go out of their way. People put themselves out. There's a lot of very intentional community where I live, because it has been, there has been a need for it, and people have been made very aware of that need by the circumstances, right? Some people live in very privileged, untouched kind of circumstances, and it's harder. Like, I realize that it's harder for people in red states to find other like-minded people to build community with. Like, all of this, at a certain point does come from privilege, and there's a lot of geographical aspects that go into it. The US is huge. Like, where are you going to protest, and what difference is it going to make? Like, yeah, in France you can just walk up to a politician's house and throw a bathtub through the window, which is awesome, but that's not the world we live in. And again, even when that does happen in America, it's fucking scary. It's like Nancy Pelosi's husband getting like almost bludgeoned to unaliving, right? Like, we're not doing it the right way. Like, the focus is wrong. The focus is on violence. The focus is on shock value rather than practical application. Like, it's right there. It's all right there. And it's like, we're just bypassing it because no, somebody has to be the superhero. Oh, the movement lacks leadership. No, it doesn't. The leadership is the last thing that you need. We need organization. A leader is somebody that y'all are going to put all of the onus on and then demonize them.
And then topple them when you feel like they're not living up to whatever standard that's.
I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Like, oh, by the way, people who keep requesting for co-hosts, I'm not accepting co-hosts. I don't know the people requesting, so there's not going to be a new co-host. So just stop doing that. So I'm not going to accept it. But they, like, you're right. We're looking for someone to save us. And also what the centrists and the moderates don't understand is what's happening in this space. Like, if you're not, there are two kinds of people in the world. There are folks that use the internet, and there are people that are on the internet. And we are on the internet. People who aren't on the internet, like my parents or my sister, they don't know about this stuff that's growing. And I kept telling my mom, I'm like, they're just going to start pew-pewing CEOs in the street. This is not going to be the last one we're going to see. And then they'll say, like, oh, well, this is outrageous and you shouldn't be celebrating. I'm like, I'm not saying I'm celebrating. I'm saying that I have my finger on the pulse of what these people are feeling. And this is only the first. This is the beginning of, we're going to see more of these people, because and we're going to see, they're not going to be the usual suspects. But when you look at history, the big serious revolutionaries weren't poor. Che Guevara was a doctor. Castro was a lawyer. This dude was the first thing I noticed about this Luigi guy is his clothes and his backpack. These are the kinds of, if I had to guess, I would have said this looks like a guy who works at Deloitte.
Oh yeah.
I worked in finance for years, and I worked in public accounting, and that is how every dude in public accounting, in finance, dresses. Like the khakis, the Patagonia hoodie, and the fancy backpack. These are the kind, they're not going to be like rando poor people or whatever. No, these are like upper middle class dudes who are going to be doing this kind of thing. This is a different, this is a different level we're at. And instead of focusing so much on the outrage over the fact that people are celebrating this guy, you need to be thinking about what's next. Like, what's the next crazy dude and how do we stop that? Like, stop your outrage or pearl clutching and understand that this is the beginning of this. This is not the last time this is going to happen if we continue on this trajectory. That's what I'm trying to drive home to the people that aren't really paying attention. Like, this is a different situation. This is not like 10 years ago. This is not like 40 years ago. This is new for us as a nation, but it's not new for the world.
I agree. Yes. And my whole thing is like, when there are more vigilantes, like, what does that change to? Like, that's my thing, is like, we cannot be glorifying vigilante justice. Like, we just can't. Even with this Coldplay concert couple, I'm like, listen, I can tell you stories, I can tell you stories. This is how they collected all the Jewish people during the Holocaust. Was neighbor to neighbor doxing, was people snitching on each other to the government, was people feeling comfortable enough to dox their neighbors for a wrong thing, people being offered, $50 by the government. Because mind you, the ICE agents are working for peanuts. Like they're not requiring a lot of money to do the job because they get off on a whole different aspect of the job. And there will be people that will dedicate their life to just doxing, creators, especially female creators. Like, I don't want to speak that over anybody's life, but that is what it's going to be. Right? When Donald Trump comes out there and says, who are all the nasty women? Who are all the horrible women? And this is how it's going to be.
They're going to be totally comfortable doing that. You're right. People were the same thing with AB. Like the people who are reporting the women for having miscarriages are like nurses.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. Women.
Medical staff. They're the ones who are snitching to the cops. And the whole thing with nurses, we think of nurses as like, great, trustworthy folks. And for the most part, I'm sure they are, but they're always the ones talking to the cops in the ER. And also what I didn't realize until recently is that a lot of them are married to cops.
That's a big thing. That's a huge, it's like the,
know that. But yeah. So they're going to be the ones that are going to be calling the cops when you present to the ER bleeding, having a miscarriage, and they're going to start an investigation. So stop trusting every person. Don't snitch on anyone. My little niece, she's so cute. She's 5. They took her to Disneyland when she visited my parents in California, and they went to like the Smuggler's Run, Star Wars area, where you fly the Millennium Falcon, whatever. And apparently at this thing, they have like guys that are like they have characters where they're like imperial officers and like generals and stuff. And they'll like walk up to people waiting in line for the ride. And they'll be like, do you know the location of the rebel base? And before you're in the beginning of the line, there's like a little video of like Ray telling you, don't tell them the location. If someone comes, you don't tell them the location. So this guy, apparently he was sadly, I have no video of this, but apparently he was so menacing. He like leaned over my little niece and was like, do you know the location of the rebel base? And she's like, no. And then he really got in her face, like got up on her. Do you know the location of the rebel base? And she's like, no.
Oh.
And before he got there, she pulled along and she said, like, Gigi, granddad, mommy, you can't tell anyone anything. The lady said, we have to like, she's like, huddle up. We have to agree. We can't talk. My 5-year-old niece understands this.
Good job, comrade. Yes.
She's going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, you don't know the location of the rebel base. You don't know. These aren't the droids you're looking for. You can just move on. We're not talking. Nothing.
Yeah. And people are like, oh, people don't want to lose, nurses don't want to lose their license and their source of income. And that's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're heading towards, is like, y'all think it's funny right now to point fingers and be like, oh, you said this online, let me call ICE on your family. You said this online, let's hack into your account and make it inaccessible. You said this online, I'm going to call every brand that tries to make a deal with you and I'm going to cancel it. I'm going to tell them what you said. I'm going to tell them what you did. And it's like, okay, yes, but how are you going to feel when you walk into a job interview and they're like, but plug your phone in to this AI crawl, and it's going to crawl your phone, and we're going to look at everything, all your private information, all of your everything, and we're going to look for wrong thing. We're going to look for anti-capitalism. We're going to look for, when have you not licked the boot of the, capitalist overlords? And look, you're not going to have a job. So that will happen. That will happen. The more we normalize this, the more that we make it normal to like witch hunt people, everybody's going to be witch hunted. And I'm telling you this as somebody whose grandma, right, had to, like my mom had to become a member of the, whatever part, not my mom, I think, but my grandma actually had to become a member of the Communist Party, which is not communism, by the way. Like people mistaking that shit for communism, you need to go back to school, because the communism, we've never seen communism implemented in the world anywhere ever. So just let's clear that up. But, people were forced, to become like tankies or whatever, like communists, And wrong think was my dad literally went to prison for wrong think. My uncles were sent to Siberia for wrong think. And in their case, the wrong thing happened to be Christianity, right? But like it can be anything. It can be anything because literally my dad wouldn't stand up and say that he doesn't believe in God. And now, like me, I don't care about that, right? And like whatever. But they literally kicked him out of college because he had different beliefs than what he was supposed to have. And I'm just saying, if you don't think it's going to come to your doorstep, it will. It will. And like women in public positions have been saying this for a very long time. This, you know, a lot of this goes back to like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, the way that people were so comfortable pointing fingers at a woman. Meanwhile, a man was sitting there hoping that people are just going to ignore all the text messages where he fantasized about drowning her, graping her, where he actually did grape her, where he actually assaulted her with bottles and things like that. But people were like, yeah, but she lied about a makeup kit that she used to cover up her bruise. Like that is what took her down.
And we're still, some of us are still defending Baldoni and still criticizing Blake Lively. And you'd think we, on the heels of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing,
We learned nothing.
not even barely a year later, and we're still doing the same thing.
Plenty of good reasons to criticize Blake Lively, by the way. I've done it, you know, plenty.
One of them. You can be a horrible person and still be a victim of something, and it doesn't make that person right just because you're not perfect.
And that's what I think people are not understanding. They're like, no, but it feels good.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, yeah, but imagine when like the government's doing that to you. Imagine when you normalize it to that point. I mean, like people were literally, and I really like, you know, the way my grandma talks about these things, it's like literally people were tasked to bring in like people would take your books away. People would take, you know, like people would storm into your house and remove books from your bookshelf that were a wrong thing. This is far, you know, Americans will freak out about books being banned. I'm talking law enforcement coming in and rifling through your bookshelf and then putting you in prison for X amount of days or in jail for X amount of days for even having that stuff in the first place. Like, not just, oh, we're going to take it, but like, you're going to be punished for this, for reading the wrong books.
Now they're just going to bust into your Kindle. They're just going to hack into your Kindle app and be like, you know, here are all the books. We're going to delete them. Then they'll come to your door. Then they won't even have to walk in and pull the books off the shelf. They'll hack into your account and get the stuff from your Kindle. And they'll issue a bogus warrant, or they might not even need a warrant, and they'll just come and take you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's where, like that's the end of this story. If we keep going in this direction, we need to stop with the self-policing. And I feel like anytime, because it's a human instinct to like want to pedestalize someone just to knock them down.
Yes.
That's a human instinct. Like everybody has that instinct. But when you feel whatever the word is, I hate the word triggered because this is like so overused or whatever. But when you feel that initial urge to do that, put your phone down.
Mm-hmm.
Put your phone down.
Class.
Walk away. Have a cup of cocoa. You know, have a glass of water. Wait like 10 minutes. Then if you still have the urge, just literally until the urge goes away. Put your phone down until the urge goes away. And then the next day, if you've thought about it and if you can, or something substantive to say, and you're not just like knocking someone down or like tattling on them, then you can formulate a response and say something. But almost always your initial feelings are going to drive what you say and what you do. And that's fake. That's not real. That doesn't have anything to do with what they're actually doing. That's you. That's something that's going on.
Inside job.
You haven't unpacked, and you need to ignore that shit until you calm down. You know?
Yes.
I don't know what you do. Like, get a little elevated, take a nap, whatever you do. Whatever you do.
For real. Take a gummy, man. Like, chill.
Stop. Like,
chill.
Stop. Urge.
And it's like, when did we lose that, like, what do we owe each other feeling? Because I do feel like that was really part of like how people would criticize other people on this app, like before November, I guess, because we've seen this with the podcast too. There's been so much vitriol from other women, and I'm like, we used to have like a common sense of courtesy with this. We used to have like a common sense of decency where it's like, hey, I love your content, I'm not trying to knock you, but genuine question, like, how do you think this lines up? Or genuine question, like, here's what I think. Like, that's the only way I've ever been addressed by women up until now. And I understand, like, with the audience growing, but I'm going to be honest, my growth has been very slow, very organic. Just that, like, people's tendencies have changed, like, people's sensibilities have changed to much more like aggressive and much more like short-sighted. Like it's like, yeah, you're triggered and you right away just want to like, whoa, like everywhere. You don't want to read a book, you don't want to look at their other content, you don't want to like do anything. And yeah, but speaking of genuine question, do you mind taking one? So there's one from Eva. She says, genuine question, is it really the same energy when it's a white CEO billionaire at a public concert with an HR exec? I have thoughts on that, but I want to like know yours.
I don't care about who this dude is sticking his D in. I don't care. I care about what he's doing on the board of directors. I care about what shady business crap he's doing. I care about the fact if he's like busting unions. Like I care about that stuff. I couldn't care less who he sticks his D in. Honestly, I don't.
And it's like a privileged white woman, like, okay, like I think they're fine.
Whatever.
If it was like an assistant, if it was like a Monica Lewinsky type situation, like that would be weird. They look the same exact age.
She's there willingly apparently, but like so yeah, I don't really care. What do you think about it?
My thing is, people didn't know he was a CEO until they started doxing him. Like, that's kind of the whole point is like, y'all just saw two people that were like, for some reason, embarrassed to be seen together. And you just went for it. And it's like, I don't know. There's of course like we could have done all of this. We could have done the commentary. We could have even done the memes without it getting snowballing into the kind of accountability that has resulted in his wife having to delete her social media accounts because she was being harassed.
I bring her into it. She's the victim in all this crap. Like you're just yeah, I don't get that bit of it. I don't understand that at all. And I just feel like again, like there's so many other angles you could have been doing with this. But who is he the CEO of? What company again?
Astronaut or something like that.
I would be if it were me and I decided to care about these people, which I don't. But if I decided to care about these people, I'd be looking at their SEC filings. I'd be looking at the public records of like, oh, he owns a share in an oil company or he owns a share in a something quarry.
And we should have been doing that regardless. Like that's the energy we should have towards CEO regardless of their SMEX life, right? Like bringing people's SMEX life into it is puritanical. And then people were like, oh, we should make cheating illegal. Why do you care about defending cheaters? We should make it illegal. And I'm like in the Bible?
Yeah, that's insane. What are you gonna like stone her in the square? Like what are you gonna do?
And it's always gonna be her, by the way, because they're not gonna pull a man's D out to inspect it, right? They're gonna go in, they're gonna do what it was done biblically. They're gonna inspect the women. And it's like the government is literally watching how we react to this and they're taking notes. And they're like, oh, so they're okay with this, this, and this.
If you're gonna publicize something, blot out the address information and the social security number and post his tax returns.
Period.
See, you're doing this wrong. You could be a pain in this guy's ass in a way that would be meaningful without putting
We
his
don't want
life
that.
in danger.
But that's not fun.
The identifying information, keep the name and be like, hey, you want to see dude's tax returns for the last 7 years? Go to my shared Google Doc. I made it public. I would be there so fast. I'd be like, what's on that Schedule C?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? Where's the did he sell any investments? Where's that long
Yeah,
term?
because what we're doing, that's the bread and circus. That's the bread and circus. It's like you're just pointing fingers. Oh, they cheated. Like the morality police. Like, oh my God. Like P. Diddy was just like convicted on less than half of his charges. Like we have yet to hold a single man accountable. I don't see any smoke for the man.
Also, we might want to alert his wife if he has transferred any of their marital assets to the mistress. That might be useful information for her in what I'm sure is their impending divorce. Like, you could help a woman out with this kind of like sleuthing. If you're gonna do this, if you're gonna go like medieval on someone, you could accomplish something and help some women in the process. One woman in particular. Like, did he buy the mistress a house? What is he spending his kid's college fund on the mistress? Like that kind of stuff.
Those are the questions
Yeah, exactly.
that we're not asking.
KGR, hey girl. Yeah, any properties linked to the company? Is there a secret baby somewhere? Is there what's the shell company? What's the LLC behind the LLC behind the LLC?
Panama Papers this shit, you know?
He's doing some crazy illegal shit, but like that's the stuff you want to get into. Like,
yes, we want Panama Papers. We don't want misogyny. Like, hello, the cancel culture is only when it comes to women. Like, it's only the women that are going to get canceled. She's literally, his wife has been run off of her social media accounts, and he's going to be the CEO of like Ashley Madison next week. He's going to be the CEO of like fucking Tinder.
Yeah, thank you, KJR. Where are the forensic accountants of TikTok? Where's that side of TikTok? Y'all need to come to the front because we can use your skills. That hashtag forensic accounting TikTok. This is where y'all could be super useful.
But they don't care about men's crimes, Therese. They don't care. They just care about seeing women miserable. And like bro code will always protect men. That's what women are failing to realize. Bro code is protecting this man because all the men are like, oh, he's awesome. He's got a chick on the side and he's got a wife at home. He's never going to have the smoke, right? But it's the women that are picking all of this apart. And now men have license to like find his wife on Facebook and be like, harass her and be like, oh, you must be so ugly. You must be such a nag. Your husband's cheating on you.
Just the woman they're going to attack. It's going to be the woman that's the victim. They're always going to attack the wife. It's always the wife, not the mistress.
No, they don't care.
No, it's just insane. So if you're really, your moral outrage is the real thing, you wouldn't be attacking the wife. You'd be attacking the husband and the mistress. But the fact that you're mostly attacking the wife leads me to believe that you're pearl clutching, your outrage is fake, and you just want to see a woman like uncomfortable. You want to see a woman sad and scared and unhappy. You want to see her life ruined.
No, seriously.
You're not a useful person. You are a trash person if that's what you're doing.
Yes. And somebody asked, I was asking for questions earlier to address in this live, and somebody asked to address like weaponized morality. So I just that's
exactly what that is. Weaponized morality, like the holier than thou thing. And the thing about the people who are talking the loudest about the holier than thou morality, they've got some skeletons in their closet that would probably shock you. And part of the point of their behavior is to draw attention away from whatever's going on with them. So then don't look over here, look at the CEO in the box with the mistress. And so I don't have to, so you don't find my Grindr account.
Our president's really good at this too. And that's why I'm like, yes, that's why I'm like, why are people's like accusations against women and the ones by women, by men, they all sound like Trump tweets to me. Like, you are saying so much without saying anything. You're trying to start a fake moral outrage. You're trying to weaponize morality to distract from the shit that you've done. And it's like, there's a reason why a lot of us creators don't do that. Like, and my thing with, the certain individual that people, know that we're talking about is like, how was it that we existed in this space for years, right? Some of us, I haven't been on as long, but, you, Cecilia, Mel. I mean, Mel was one of my first follows when I got on TikTok, like back in 2020. She's been around for a long time, right? All of these women, all these creators, Bourbon Bougie, like Sovereign Woman, all of us existed peacefully, right? Not only that, we've always credited each other for work, not because it was like forced upon us, because it's always come naturally. Like you listen to the podcast, we've mentioned you often. We've mentioned Burb often. Yeah, and it's like we are only doing one guest a month, and it's like it's gonna take a while to get through our circle to put everybody on, but it's like we have existed so peacefully, so well. We've always worked together. And then it just takes this one individual to come in here, be on the app for 4 months. I think they said 4 months. Like, you don't know shit. You don't know anything about like the ecosystem that we've built. And it's like, if you think you're gonna come in here and take a fat shit in the middle of it, you are damn wrong. Like, you're so damn wrong that you're gonna throw like MJ under the bus, who's been an ally to the movement. You're gonna throw like me under the bus. You're gonna throw other people under the bus. Like, you're not gonna do that because we have a track record and you don't. And the only problem is that people are not willing to go through the track record. And that's been really concerning to me, because it's like, when it comes to these things, like you said, that's what accountability looks like. It looks like actually taking the time, because to ruin somebody's life is very easy. To point fingers, to start rumors, to, that drive, once again, especially women from just having to get off the apps. Like, you have to just, you will be silenced. And so many, especially Black women, have been silenced prior till now.
I mean, the White Woman Whisperer was demonetized. Her
Literally
demonetized for saying that white women are the men of women or something. That's like what, and bringing up the whole like the office situation. If it's like, the man versus bear thing, like would you rather deal with a white woman versus a white man? And the Black woman overwhelmingly chose the white man for the same reason that all chose the bear, because
objectively true.
White dude, you know what to expect. Whereas there's a whole plethora of things that Regina George could come up with that you haven't even imagined that could happen to you. So unpredictable, right? But like the white dude, you know what to expect. They're not very creative.
No,
they're pretty basic. But and then they demonetized her account. Just like,
I know, I was there. Like, that shit was crazy.
Yeah, I just it's also making me very concerned about how I talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of my community, most of my followers are white women, because most women are white, because the majority is as scared as they are about like the browning of America. The majority of people are still white. Don't worry, y'all. The majority of people are still white. So it's like I'm just worried now, like, how can I talk about this? Can I talk about it? Because I've never really, I've addressed intersectionality, but I've never addressed this issue so directly before. So I'm kind of slowly starting to talk about this, and I'm like, am I the next person that's going to get doxxed if I do something that like pisses off the wrong Regina George, and then I end up in the burn book?
Right. And that's why I think it's more important. Like, it's very important for white women to stay speaking on it. And it, like, even as the white woman, the only videos of mine that have been like really successfully taken down, and I have not been able to dispute it with TikTok and stuff like that, is the videos I make about white women. They get very, very upset, very upset. And I'm like, because a lot of white women think I'm going to be an ally in the white feminism movement. And I'm like, selfishly, even selfishly, I couldn't do that. Selfishly, what interests me more is us to stop spinning our wheels, because that's all we're doing with white feminism. Selfishly, I want to actually make a difference. Like, and I know we're not going to get there in these small numbers by excluding people and by being offended when Black women speak the truth, when disabled people speak the truth. That offends us, right? Or like makes us feel inadequate. And it's because we project, like white women project that weaponized morality because that's how they use morality, right? So every time that like white woman whisperer calls out white women, they're like, you're trying to weaponize morality against me. And it's like, no, that's what you would do. She's trying to call you in. She's trying to get you to understand things and change your behavior. She's not trying to cancel you. You're nobody. You don't have a platform. You can cancel her. And that's exactly what you will do because you're projecting the weaponized morality. And you're saying it's wrong of you actually to assume we're all the same. And it's wrong of you. And it's like, well, when every white woman you come across is the same.
And when 54% of you helped put him in office, or 57%, I think the number rose from 2016 to 2024.
One and two.
Yeah, 1 and 2 of the half of y'all, more than half of y'all. So,
and that's just like the overt, right? That's the overt, because then out of that other 50%, you're going to find a lot of liberal, but still very defensive white women that will be like, well, didn't we do enough? You know, like speaking of like having to call other women creators out, like that's, I have made, you know, the video I initially made, like calling this person out. I've made that video multiple times because a lot of feminist creators that I will like jump in and follow, and like, you know, I'm not going to call names because I don't think it's helpful to make it about certain white women because it absolves all other white women of like thinking that they're the same. We're all the same, right? But that video has to be made a lot, because if the feminist creators you're listening to are not thinking about intersectionality, they're gonna step in shit. Like they're gonna step, you know, like make a mistake. And so when you call them out, it like they have choices, right? They have a choice of how they're gonna act. And that's what it comes down to. Like a lot of white women seem safe until it's like time to call them out. And then they're like, no, you're evil. You're trying to cancel me. You poke the bear first. So I'm going to come at you with everything I have. Like,
they're okay. Until they're not. They're safe when they roll up to the juke joint with their little banjo.
Yes. Oh my God.
That movie is so scary. And I met the part like where everyone else is left and it's just them left in the juke joint and they're trying to figure that's where I am in the film, because it was too scary. I couldn't watch the rest of it the other night, but it is so good. But yeah, that is a perfect metaphor for this thing. Like they're safe until they're not. And it turns on a dime how safe they are. And it turns on a dime how safe they are. And the light-skinned, like white presenting lady who thinks that, oh, I can go and reason with them, I can talk to them, whatever, they're gonna get you too.
Yes.
You're not safe either. In fact, you're the first one they got. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, it's just so and the whole idea that they made those two characters twins. And so it's like you're looking in the mirror at yourself because you can just as easily become that problematic bitch too if you're not careful. And you have to look into the ugliest parts of yourself, not only to fight it and to survive, but to prevent from becoming it.
Yes.
That's the uncomfortable bit that we don't want to deal with. No one wants to deal with that. There are plenty of Black people that want to like get in on the white supremacy thing. Oh, if I'm just Republican or I'm enough, or I have enough money, I'm not like those other, so I'm different than those bad women or than those bad Black people. I'm going to be fine with this. I'm going to be safe. How many times does this have to happen before y'all learn? That doesn't include you. If you're not a wealthy white man, you're not in that club. You are not safe.
Intersectionality goes, it's like the turtles, you know, all the way up and all the way down, right? You can even be a successful, you know, I mean, I use Taylor Swift as an example all the time. The most successful white woman that there is, right? The richest, like whatever, most public facing, has the most fans, everything. And Elon Musk can still just get on Twitter and make a public grape threat towards her. Her own boyfriend will not stand up for her.
Yep.
And she still stays with him, is the thing. And it's like, this is what we're talking about. Like, and you know, the whole thing about them like also asking to be let in, I also think that's interesting because that's how like a lot of white women act instead of actually doing the work and just being accepted into the community when they see you doing the work and being like, oh, come over here. We have more work over here. We see that you're faithful in little, so then you can be faithful in much. You can come over to the community. They'll be like, you know, what do I like? It's like this weird, like, no, but you let me in.
To get validation, to let it, what do I have to do? What's the cheat code? What's the,
No cheat code. It's just work. You know, it's just work and getting called out over and over and over again. Like that's one thing, you know, I've had to be because I've often said, or I've said before, not often because I get called out, that like, you know, now that women are allowed to work and Black women have been like, we've always worked. We've always worked. Like you can't just say that, like all these things, like you have to, and you just have to take that as like a call in, you know, it's just people telling you like, hey, no, like you actually said that wrong. You don't have to, there's nothing else for you to do. It's just go forth and don't say it again. Like don't say that, don't spread that rhetoric again. Because it's not reflective, right? If you want to be a feminist, that means you include all women, as many women as possible. Once again, as long as they're not Serena Joys, like they're not against women's rights. They're not trying to rule from the top, you know, of some kind of imaginary hierarchy and tell, you know, other women what the movement has to look like. But it's like, as long as you're not doing that, you can be part of the movement. It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of intentional, you know, yeah, poor white women have always worked too. That's a great point, Jamie. But white people think that they're all really rich deep down, temporarily embarrassed millionaires for sure. For sure.
Comments, they've only ever had power via white men. They've had proximity to power, which they mistake for actual power. It's not the same thing. And I noticed that being married to a white man for 7 years, when I would go to these corporate events with him, I'm like, if it was just me here, this experience would be different. I understood that the access I had was only because I was attached to this person. So the power wasn't mine, it was his. And I noticed that immediately too, and it made me so angry. Like I'm treated like a human being only because of my attachment to him. It is not real power. It might feel like it at first if you don't know what's happening, because you get the privileges of you're the executive wife or whatever. It's not real because it can come and go at that person's discretion, and it can disappear overnight because it's not, the power was never yours. It was always his.
And that was the problem too, with like the white women taking over the feminist movement, as they're always trying to do, is like, no, we'll just hand out the rights from the top. Like once we have our rights, and then we'll get to tell people what to do. And it's like, no, but so many white women are racist, so they're not gonna do that.
When they got there, they pulled the ladder up when they got to the point. Yep. You have to unpack your racism, because you're always gonna have a problem down the road, because you're gonna be like, oh, women except for these women. Yep. Or women except for promiscuous women. Except for, just women that don't, shave their armpits. There's always going to be some woman that's not womaning right in some. There's always going to be like, and they'll try to triangulate you against other women. They'll be like, well, what if she, like in the body count combo, for example, well, what if she's had sex with 1 million guys or something? And I'm like, first of all, I'm going to DM her and ask her about time management. Is there uses to, because right. And she still has maintained a full-time job, has a yard where the grass is cut, and has a paid off home. I want to know how you managed all that in the short period of time. So first of all, I want some time management advice. And then secondly, I don't care.
Couldn't care less. How many of those were consensual? How many of those were, like there's so many questions we have to ask. And this is exactly how the patriarchy discredits us. They're always pitting women against each other, right? That's why they say stuff like, you're over the wall, you hit the wall, you're over 30, so that then younger women will be like, oh, so I'm desirable and I shouldn't listen to these women who are no longer desirable, to whom the same men that will F a butterball turkey. That's the thing that they're trying to deflect from. It's like, you're not that picky to begin with. You know what I mean? You would totally F an older woman, all of these things, yet men get more valuable with age. Exactly. It's like, how do they get more valuable? They don't take care of themselves. They get more decrepit. They have more health issues.
Me too, Katie. I can't wait to the wall. Can I get there faster? Yeah, I have to. What's her self-care regimen? What kind of lube does she use? I would have so many questions that had nothing to do. We're talking about, we're talking about like the Bonnie Blue, and like anytime you say, defend when you advocate for, SWs or just women, whatever. Like, what if this woman did this thing even worse? What, like, they're trying to find out where's your limit? Where's the point where you start policing your own? And I'm like, I don't have that point.
Never. Yes, never. If they're on the side of women's rights, I don't care.
What kind of pelvic floor exercises does she do? Yes, these are questions that I would have. I'm like looking for advice. How do I improve my pH? How do I, practical things like that. Is there a skincare routine? Is there like what's going on there? But like I don't police women. I always want you to. In my comments, I always, and when I'm on panels with these guys, I always want to like, and be like, what if they do? What about conflict? What about whatever? And I always say that Bonnie Blue's a marketing genius.
Yeah.
Because many of you're so focused on the fact that she was like 1,000 dudes in a day or 100 dudes in a day or whatever she did. But the 100 dudes came there and put down their paper. So she got the money, she got the publicity, she got like all the engagement on her site, she got the. So who is the fool? Like who's the dummy?
Right. And what should we be more concerned about? About like, right? It's the 1,000 men that were, like.
It's crazy. Like I don't understand. And also the people who are Sedona as a creator on here tonight that I love.
Love.
Any of those of you who are like in the body count combo who are like, oh, this woman had 50 bodies, whatever. Clearly, you don't know any gay dudes because even if they're not a sex worker, there are gay dudes like a Tuesday. Like I went to college with a couple people who were like, that those high numbers don't shock me because I knew people who had a very, very active and frequent sex life, like on like Monday nights and Tuesday nights. Like normally, even when I was in college, it was like maybe the weekend would start on a Wednesday or a Thursday, but like Monday, it's like a nightly thing.
And good for them, you know what I mean? And good for them.
Not like I don't get the pearl clutching thing for that. And I'm like, if if this is the most shocking thing you've seen, you need to get out more because that means that your community is not diversified enough. You don't know enough sluts.
Yes. And speaking of diversity, Jace Mercutio's in the chat, one of my really good friends. Please follow him everywhere. He does teach about nuance and is at the intersection of many things. I've learned so much from Jace, and it has really kept me from slipping down the whole, not necessarily divine feminine, but the whole like women are the superior gender type stuff. Like, we got to be careful with that. We do. We are. And yes, but it's mostly due to socialization. There's nothing like magical about women. We are like beaten into this.
We need to talk about, first of all, I love the flower crowns. Y'all are saying those are so pretty. That's so pretty. I love it. Thank you. We need to talk about the bio-essentialism among the like feminine energy crowd people. That drives me nuts. And then when it eventually gets to like, we need to stop birthing males. I'm like, whoa. When did we get to like sex selective? But no, we don't need to be there. That's not a place to do it. And there is nothing inherently biological about men or women that makes a certain way. It is socialization. We are better men because we're socialized to be, because we have to be to take care of them, and take care of children. We are socialized to be better human beings because that makes us better servants to the system.
It's literally that simple. Literally that simple.
But we need to get off this divine feminine thing, this whole we're biologically better. The same arguments that you're using to tell why we're better is the same arguments that they've always used to say why we couldn't vote, why we couldn't work, why the pedal on the sewing machine would get us sexually excited, so we shouldn't work, or they need to drug our tea with something to calm down all the sexual energy from the sewing pedal. That was a real thing. Like in the industrial early days, they were like, "Oh, women are going to get they're going to get sexually excited by riding a bicycle."
Yeah.
You can't let them, like the ridiculous stuff they used to say.
Yeah, if women don't have children, their uterus is going to wander all over their body.
Yes. Crazy stuff. So we need to get off the bio-essentialism. We need to get off of that divine feminine. It's just repackaged like religious crap and
trad wife. It's repackaged trad wife.
Repackaged trad wife stuff. It's the same thing. It's just like, why are we talking about? There's nothing divine about any of this. It is a society that socializes us a certain way, and it is how we were born to, and the circumstances of our lives. There's nothing magical about it.
And it's viscerally real. Yes, like women were, like violated into this, violated by very real men. That's why I also hate the whole like real men conversation. I don't give a fuck. They're all real until I can stick my hand out and it goes through a man like a hologram or something. Like they're all real to me. They can all very, viscerally real, and they hurt each other and they hurt women.
The one thing that drives me nuts, and the only mutual of mine that does this, I understand why she does this for purposes of her content, but it's the thing I don't like, is it when we say, well, those men, those are boys, or those are guys. Yeah. They don't behave this way. No, they're all men, and most of them are terrible. Mm-hmm. I understand why my one mutual does it, because she's a dating coach, and when she writes books, differentiating in the language between referring to someone you should date versus someone you shouldn't. I understand why she says man versus guy. It has a utilitarian function in her world and her faith. But I hate when we like infantilize men and like, oh, those men are little boys. No, they're grown-ass men who go and break into dressing rooms with beauty contestants and rope them. They're actual men who do this. They are real. Right. They're not little boys. Stop infantilizing.
Also, like, what does that say about boys? Like, what do you mean boys? Like, boys are like the last chance we have to save these men. So let's not like pair this, it's almost like becomes more of an excuse that we're like, oh, they're just boys and they're always boys. And it's like, well, that's why we don't talk to boys. That's why we don't bother parenting boys. That's why boys are easier to raise, because boys will be boys. It's like women have no say over what boys are going to be or how they're going to turn out. And it's like, that is the patriarchy reinforcing itself. Boys will be boys. This just sounds like men can do whatever they want.
This conversation also about like boys falling behind in education. My last podcast episode was about that, and I'm planning to do a follow-up on former President Obama's comments, because while he said some great things when it comes to diversifying your examples of masculinity for your son, he also said that we need to be concerned about falling behind. We need to come up with structure. No, school has not changed.
That's the thing.
At a desk, read an assignment, do the homework, do whatever. The basic nuts and bolts of school as we do it have not changed. It's just that girls are able to compete, and we're surpassing them. It's just showing us how mediocre they were. Falling behind who? Like, you're just upset because they're falling behind us and they're not surpassing.
And now it's a concern.
That's why you're upset.
Mm-hmm.
In the same. And the problems that they're citing with school are problems for everyone, for every child. It's just that women are able to overcome them because of our socialization. On average, we're able to overcome these obstacles because of the way we're socialized. because we were socialized to be caregivers to men and children. We have social skills they don't have. We're also more resilient. Even the podcast bros, even the Reddit guys, even the Scott Galloways admit this, because when they look at the data for children raised by single parents, it doesn't matter whether it's a single mother or a single dad, the boy struggles, even when the single parent is a single dad, and the girls never do. The girls their outcomes are very, very like this. There's a small difference, not barely a difference between that and a 2-parent household. And the boys crash, even when they have a single dad. When they say, "Oh, well, all these problem is all these boys being raised by single moms," even when it's a single dad, the boys crash. And they've admitted from their own mouth, boys are less resilient than girls. So instead of why are boys less resilient? What is it about how we raise girls that makes them more resilient? And when you start doing that, when we raise boys, the conversation is, we need 15 minutes more of recess. We need more teachers. And by the way, the same percentage of teachers were male now that were male in the 50s. About 25% of teachers are male now, 25% were male then. The breakdown of gender of teachers also has not changed.
Yeah. Men are less likely to have these kind of jobs because they don't want to invest in it. They're not taught the value of investment in community and children, all that.
And any form of care work is feminized. And we don't want to have anything to do with it because that's chick stuff. It's been girl-coded. Every kind of care work, and even like education itself, participating in education, is now been girl-coded. So the boys are like not even trying. They're not applying at the same rate. It's not like they're not getting into college. They're not applying at the same rate because they're not interested in higher education because too many women are interested in it. Anytime too many women get involved or interested in something, men don't want to do it because it is now associated with being a woman or being a girl. But once something becomes girl-coded, the boys lose interest and they're just like, well, that's dumb anyway. We go, oh, well, you have all these degrees, now you have all this debt. We don't care about your degrees, and oh, who cares? You have a house, you bought a house, whatever. It's not that big a deal. Home ownership is a scam anyway. When, dude, y'all were listening to CNBC the other day, the virtues of home ownership and all the things you can do, and suddenly now because we're doing it, it's bad.
Yeah. I know,
No.
and that's why this modern feminist movement was really just it was like a goading by the patriarchy, right? It was like, we'll prove it, and women went in droves to prove themselves in male fields and stuff like that, which I agree with. I agree that we should have our rightful spot and we should be recognized for how much better we are at these things. I get it. But it's kind of like the same thing that now gives credence to meritocracy within feminism. It's like, where's your degree from? Where's your, and it's like, okay, but does it matter if you can just open your eyes and see what's happening around you? Does it matter if you can read a statistic? You can read a study. None of my, the only thing I try not to do on this app is project my experience and be like, oh, the good men are out there, y'all. The good men are out there. This is how you find one. I'm like, do you know how much money I could make doing that content? Do you know how much money I could charge for one-on-one dating, coaching, just spewing bullshit? Because I know there's ways to do it. There's ways to do it and people do it. And I don't. And so it's like, the only thing I don't want to do on this app is project my experience. And we're just getting into things of but what are you, how can you say this and you're married? And it's like, well, I read a study. I can extrapolate the data from that study. I can look at certain statistics and be like, oh, marriage benefits men a lot more than women. So if you're going to be married, it has to benefit you. There has to be things in place to benefit you. And most men will laugh you out of the room for asking for that. So that's your vetting technique. I know I'm not going to have a lot of success stories with this. And I wish it were different, but
if you want to date and a guy says, I want a traditional woman to be a stay-at-home mom, whatever, your first question needs to be, how much are you going to pay me?
Exactly.
stay at home with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if he laughs at that, then that's when you get up and leave. No explanation. No, I'm gonna need the energy. I'm gonna need more Irish goodbyes on dates where you just get up and leave without explanation. You turn around and you're gone. Because I'm not explaining myself anymore to people. I'm not whatever. Just leave the date. That's the energy we need. No, like, I'm sorry, but you're just not for me. Whatever. It's just like, thanks for the drink. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I was so happy when I saw that commercial about the self-driving car that just pulls up and picks up the woman from the date, and she just gets up and gets into her car like Irish goodbyes. Like I love it. By the way, Therese, are you next to a fan or something? Your audio, that's better. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. I just added this mic. I should have just had this mic from the beginning, but I just forgot to when they told me my sound was okay in the beginning. I thought, oh, I don't need it, but apparently I do. Um, so yeah, that is the tough part about this work, and anybody who says being a content creator is not a real job and fuck off, because not only do you have to know how to write, because you have to know what you're going to say, and all my longer form videos, almost all of them are scripted. I write scripts ahead of time, like I'm filming an episode of something, and I don't always stick directly to the script, but I at least have an outline. For the shorter form stuff, it's easier to keep that in your head, and then you have to go through and you have to edit, and you have to add graphics if you want. So you have to understand Canva. You have to know how to build graphics. You have to know which formats to download them into. You have to, know to the adding audio, fading it in, fading it out. Like there's a bunch of different things you have to know how to do. And it's a steep learning curve. And
Mhm.
for the first part of this live, you're going to want to put in the enhanced voice, and I want to put the first half in enhanced voice in CapCut. I'm sorry. I wish someone would have told me earlier, because I would have switched to this mic. But like, yeah, enhanced voice, and there's also an isolate voice too, where it drops any background noise, and you can use both the isolate and enhance. And I've noticed it makes a significant difference in the audio when there's things going on. But yeah, I just have so many gadgets on my desk. So there's like humming and crap, and also the microphones are very sensitive, and you're not always set up to, like, each microphone doesn't automatically have the drop background noise.
Mhm.
And there's also like wind, and there's just a lot of, unless you're in like a sound booth and you're doing recording ADR or something, you don't have a controlled sound environment.
Mhm.
And I can't so there's no place in my house where I could build a sound booth to be completely. There's always some guy blowing leaves outside the window anytime I'm trying to record, so I always have to do
Same.
some kind of audio workaround at some point. It's
No,
crazy.
seriously. It's
Oh
so
gosh.
bad. I have this like IKEA room divider that I got that sometimes I'll use as an audio booth because you can just like put it around, but then it doesn't work for video because it looks crazy, like you're just sitting in a box,
Yeah.
so.
And I don't like using green screens,
Mm-mm.
because the green screen tech is not it's not like the Daily Show. Like their green screen tech is like much more advanced, but you still get the sort of weird outline around your image and everything. So I'm not a fan of the green screen unless I have like a banner behind me and I'm just looking to put text on there. But for regular stuff, no, you see my Billie Holiday picture and like the half of my bookcase. I usually close the door to the bathroom, but it's not in frame now. So there's like a bathroom in my office. I just close that door, and that's what you see usually when I'm
Yeah.
filming. Sometimes you see my mini fridge if it's horizontally shot. But usually, no, if it's vertical for TikTok, I can very easily put that stuff out of frame. But yeah, that's like a whole, you don't, the nice thing about TikTok that I like is it's not so polished. Like
Yes.
you can make it more polished if you want, but the expectation isn't very polished. And you can just, the whole point of it is it was supposed to be like very, honest and real, and not very like curated. It's not as curated as like Instagram. Instagram seems very curated to me.
It
Like, and
is.
it might not have started out like that, but it is now.
That's why I
But
don't post
TikTok
on
is
there.
like jump on the thing in your hair bonnet and like
Hmm.
tell a story. And I've
Hmm.
done more than one hair bonnet video, and I've had hair bonnet videos do really well
Yeah, because
because it
people
was
don't
about what I
care.
was saying and not what my hair was doing. Um, but yeah, it is, you have to resist the urge to sort of like make every video super polished and everything. Just have a routine. Anybody, if you want to use a filter, great. I use filters. I don't judge people who don't use filters or use filters. It doesn't make you less of a feminist for using a goddamn filter. That's another thing that we police too. Like, she uses filters. What, I'm supposed to rub dirt on my face and then turn the camera
Right.
on just to be authentic? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Like,
And
no,
people
no.
know damn well that people don't listen to women unless we look good. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's, you know what I mean? Like, there is that aspect of TikTok that is refreshing. Like, if you're saying something like whatever, it doesn't matter what you look like. But they're on a greater scale. It's like that is definitely something that's true.
Yeah.
Like, are people gonna hit the follow button?
Yeah.
You
And
know?
people always say, like, in my videos, oh my God, you look so gorgeous, whatever. I'm like, almost always I'm using a filter and I have makeup on.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm using one today because I put a lot of makeup on and I'm like, the natural light is hitting me in just the right way. The light is hitting
Same.
right and
Yeah.
it's all working
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But usually there's almost always a filter. And I even
No,
still think there might be
seriously.
a filter because I'm not seeing any pores, which is not usual for me. So I even think this might have a filter. I might have an auto setting that I didn't turn off. I don't know. But yeah, usually almost always I have a filter on. So I disclose that. I'm like, thank you, but honestly, it's a filter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like $50 foundation or serum or whatever. Like, it's not just, I don't wake up looking like this because I don't want
No.
women to get the feeling that like, oh, I wish I could look that whatever. No, there's like hundreds of dollars in skincare products and some fancy tech that gets
Yeah.
me looking smooth. This is not
Yeah.
normal.
The filter is definitely a strategy for sure.
Mhm.
Um,
I pick a normal one. Like, don't do like a one with like weird eyelashes. That looks weird to me.
yeah.
I just pick like a normal one that just blurs out the pores, and then I'm good. I mean, nothing fancy. Do you have more questions in your chat?
Yeah, y'all, because I gotta get off and walk my dogs. But if there's any
Yeah,
last
me
minute
too.
questions,
Yeah, my cat is getting anxious for food, so
yeah.
I have to feed her in a bit. So yeah, like, I think just people need to, we don't get any more questions. People need to just be aware of what you're doing. And if you're
Mhm.
doing any of these things, your urge to police someone, and particularly your urge to go full on burn book on someone, stop, sit, and push the phone away and do something else and think about why you're really doing it. Are you doing it for the safety of all women? Or are you doing it for your own comfort or your own glory or your own pocketbook?
Mm-hmm. Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, that's my parting advice.
All right. Well, thank you, Therese. Like, this has been so much fun.
Thank you. It has. We need to do this more often. We need to
We
go
really
live more
do.
often.
Yes. And you're on the
Awesome.
guest shortlist for the podcast. I will be reaching out soon.
By that time, I'll have something to promote, hopefully.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
in between
Yes.
projects.
Yes, that's kind of what I've heard. I know you were going through your surgery and like healing and
Yeah.
everything. So it's kind of like we've had a lot of that too with like our guests. It's like I've been really excited to have certain people on and they're like, yes, but not yet. You know, Jamila Bradley, we definitely have Jamila
Oh, she's great.
on the short list. Yeah. And it's like um but yeah, life happens.
Thank you, everyone, for the gifts and the likes and the shares. I
Yay,
really
yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
it. And I will see ya when I see ya.
Yes, hopefully
Bye.
soon. Okay,
Yes.
bye.
Bye.